Daniel Hughes, Brian Farnham, and your host, Shooky. This is Plastic Cannibals Live.
Well, that was a wreck.
Laser Pants.
Captain Laser Pants, as I call him. He's not even here. He might be here later. I don't know if Ryan's going to join. I think Paul might join later. Either way, we are here. We are back, sort of. Hopefully anybody's going to be watching. Not likely. But guys, welcome to... I forgot which camera to look at. Welcome to the first Plastic Cannibals Live over here on my channel. It has previously been hosted both in the Plastic Cannibals Facebook group and on Unboxing Art's channel. But just to make things easier, we're doing it over here for right now. So obviously it's a little bit different than my normal live streams and a bit different from my Nerdcast or all the other things. I have no idea if anybody's watching except for the people who are watching the chat. So let me go over here to the Hangouts. And here we have, of course, a familiar face, Mr. Unboxing Art.
Yes. Sporting this awesome Shoki Reviews shirt. I'm just saying.
The only red one ever purchased.
It's dope. It's comfortable as hell.
Yeah, I don't even
like
have a red one. And of course, you're trying out your new microphone for the first time. He's all professional and stuff now. He's trying to be a professional YouTuber.
Blue Yeti mics. They're serious.
Shout out to Blue Yeti. And we got, of course, a familiar other face who was here just 2 days ago. Mr. Thomas Rice, Rodimus 13. Of course, guys, if you are familiar with my channel, you should be familiar with him by now. And Unboxing Art. By the way, go subscribe to both of these guys if you are not. But, you know, he came to come and hang out.
Yo.
Excuse me. Just open that beer and it's already coming back on me. And over here, off to the far corner, also drinking a beer, we have Judd Osgood. Usually all over the chat whenever I go on live, but today he decided to come play because he is also a fellow collector. And Mr. Graybeard over here.
That'd be me.
It's on a frame like a motherfucker.
Yeah, he doesn't do framing.
I gotta watch my language.
It's okay. We did this late, so I mean the only children will be watching are in like Japan or something. All those little Japanese children coming to watch some crazy Americans do some stuff. Okay, so I see Votaku.
Traumatize all of them.
What's up, Mr. Votaku? I know who you is. What's up, buddy? All right, so usually with Plastic Cannibals, we're talking about our collectibles and other such nerdery. So over here, off to my right, I guess, on the screen, if you guys are seeing this, we have our topics list. We may or may not stick to those, but they're there because, well, I felt like actually having some text on the screen. And of course, we usually start off with things that we have acquired recently in the What We Got segment. I'll start off just very quickly because I don't have a whole lot at the moment. I have stuff coming, but right now I don't have much. I did just finally open the Dragon Stars Cell, which is actually a really nice figure. The paint is done really well. I mean, his joints are loose, but it's Dragon Stars. You know, it is what it is. The sculpt is really, really nice, so it's pretty on point for what it is. I'm looking forward to getting the Super Saiyan 3 Goku, which is like my next thing. This would be the downfall. I hate when these stupid notifications pop up. Stupid Windows. How do I mute those things? I do have the Planet X Hephaestus coming, and that's their version of the Heat Blast Grimlock. The Big Bad Toy Store is doing a whole bunch of like one-day sales, and they dropped it from like 140 to 80. So I went ahead and snagged that real quick. I also pre-ordered the Siege Jetfire, which should hopefully be here, I think, by the end of the month. And I'm really looking forward to that goodness over there. Art, you want to go next?
Sure.
Since you're next in line.
So, for anybody that didn't know, I mean, if you're part of the Cannibals, you probably know, but my birthday was yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
So I had some stuff I didn't show from my mail haul. Thank you. I did a mail haul video on my channel, and then I didn't put all of it in there. And then I got stuff for my birthday. So, the stuff for my birthday is downstairs. I didn't bring it up, but my wife being crazy awesome, she ended up allowing me, like, she got me like a boom arm for my Yeti shock mount, like just to basically allow me to set up my microphone the way it should be. And then she had this big ass box, and right when I opened the paper, it said Big Bad Toy Store in the tape. And actually, I showed Judd the box before she wrapped it, and I'm like, I wonder what this is. I think I know what it is. And sure enough, she got me all 6 figures from the Diamond Select Real Ghostbusters wave, or the 2 waves. So I got that whole Real Ghostbuster set. And then I'm like, damn, I got to build that fire, the fire station's door and all that stuff.
That'll be awesome.
Mail haul stuff. I did end up picking up this Red Ninja from 25th anniversary.
Yeah. For those of you on my channel who don't know, Art is a giant G.I. Joe fan.
Big G.I. Joe.
Cool.
Yeah, he loves
and then my
G1
other
G.I.
one
Joes.
that I got, another Mythic Legion Goblin.
Your new obsession.
Dude, they're so awesome. They're really cool. I like them.
Stupid
So-
notifications.
That's sort of been my pickups as of late.
I don't know how I can. Sorry, stupid notifications are coming across. I don't know how to mute them. Either way, that's actually really cool. Have you seen the new goblin-y thing in the next wave coming?
Yeah, I pre-ordered it.
Okay, yeah, I figured you would. That looks pretty badass.
The big old, he's like Thumper or whatever, and he has like a giant mallet.
Yes. All right, let's move on
Sounds awesome.
to Rodimus 13 Shelf Space, which, by the way, he actually has a whole video series of what I got, so he's already ahead of this on the. Gee, I wonder where he got that title. So if you want to go ahead and tell or show some of the stuff you got there, sir.
I actually got some new things that weren't on that video. I picked them up like today.
Oh,
So
I thought you were holding back from us.
nope. So we got Treadshot,
Really can't
Transformer
see that.
Siege.
Who is that?
I don't know. Treadshot or whatever he's called
I
nowadays.
was like Treadshot.
Skytread.
Skytread. I was like, wow. Oh, you actually
Skytread.
found that. We were talking about it the other day.
Yeah, I found some Wave 1 Siege toys. So I picked up that Cog because I need to get my CityBot add-on guys. Optimus Prime.
Wow, you just cleaned up
And
all the Siege
finally-
stuff, didn't you?
Right?
Cogman from the Studio series because I really wanted his toy from the original line that he appeared in,
Mhm.
and I like never saw it in the wild. And I've been told that he's actually a really good figure. He's like one of the best Titans Return figures, effectively.
Basically,
Even though he
because
wasn't
he is
a
a head.
Titan's
Yeah,
Return.
he is a headmaster,
So,
or Titan Master.
yep, and he's an actual headmaster in that.
All right.
So,
we got.
yeah, that's what I got.
Sorry, I was looking at the chat. Finally, we got some lagging toys in the chat. Irrelevant Hulk, Caleb O'Brien. What's up? Judd, you got anything to show off? I heard you open
I
another
got
beer.
this.
I heard you open another beer.
I got this.
What is it? What are you drinking?
This is a bumbleberry.
Oh, nice. I'm actually,
It's quite delicious.
for anybody wondering what I'm drinking, shout out to Copperhead Brewery right down the street from me. This is their barrel aged King of Terrors, which is a really amazing stout. I was at their party a couple of weeks ago, and I don't remember much after that. But they have a chocolate mint variation of this, which is amazing, and I have a bottle of that. It did cost me an arm and a leg, but then I drank that arm and a leg, so it didn't matter. So
That sounds good.
It's really good. I just realized with the way I've got the Hangouts pulled up, you see the thing across the thing. Oh well, it doesn't matter. All right. It sucks that none of the other Plastic Cannibals crew is here to hang out. What is Tony doing? We didn't even hear from him. Is he just off doing whatever? He's your like best friend, Art.
He's probably dealing with life stuff. I don't know.
Life. What does he do other than say what Marvel Legends he wants?
Everything.
That's all he says.
He wants boys.
In the chat, all he ever does is post. He's like, post a new thing. Gotta have all of them. ×2.
×6.
×6. And speaking of Marvel Legends, that's what we're talking about next. It's a nice segue there. I don't know if you guys collect them or not, and I'm not speaking to you guys here with me. I'm talking about the guys in the chat. But there's a lot of Marvel Legends coming out this year. What was it? What was the total number somebody figured out? Like 60, something like that.
Wow.
I thought it was closer to 70.
Well, either way, 60 some odd. With 2-packs, re-releases, brand new waves, stuff for movies. Because we got both Infinity War waves basically at this point. And I guess we're all kind of looking for unworthy, or I always say unworthy Cap. So we're looking for a worthy Cap right now, the Walmart exclusive. Which, by the way, my Walmart was useless in that department. They had like nothing new. But they suddenly had the entire Kingpin wave on the shelf. So I was like, if I didn't have money I needed to spend for other things, I would go ahead and get that full Kingpin wave.
You don't want that wave.
I just want Kingpin.
It's a horrible wave.
It is a garbage wave.
Just wait for the select to come out.
I did get an unworthy
basically.
Cap. I
Better
forgot to
than-
mention
than
that.
that.
Did you get worthy Cap?
I got worthy, or yeah, I said unworthy.
Yeah,
Cap.
see, it's easier to say unworthy Cap. It's weird.
I got worthy Cap, and then I forgot Ryan Thomas swung by my place yesterday for my birthday, and he brought me like that new NECA Friday the 13th Jason.
I did see that. Speaking of NECA, even though we're supposed to be talking Legends, I told Judd earlier, I saw yesterday at Target the new Drogon figure that they just put out. So they have Viserion already, now they got a Drogon, and it's stuck in a really weird pose. So I'm like, this would be cool if it was at least doing anything but that one pose. So, oh well. But let's see here. The previous waves. Well, actually, what the Spider-Man Far From Home wave is like the current one, right? From Legends.
Well, that one and the
And
Endgame second set.
Yeah, the
Avengers.
second. Oh yeah, I said Infinity War. I meant to say Endgame. Same movie. Same movie at this point.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So some people have already cleared out like both of those waves, and some of us haven't even seen them yet. Like here, for instance. But my particular Walmart or Target is not always up to date. So
I haven't even seen the Kingpin wave.
Yeah, but you're like in the sticks.
No, I'm not. I'm in major. I live in a major city, man.
I know. I'm just
Judd, you've seen them on my channel.
We've seen them in your thumbnails that you've been posting on Instagram constantly.
Yeah, you guys just look at the thumbnails. You don't even watch the damn videos.
Well, I found it funny that, like, I guess you're just now getting on your Instagram game, so you're posting, like, all your thumbnails from the year, like, every day. I'm like, he reviewed this 4 months ago. I was like, why is he just putting this out now? Anyways,
Because I just thought about it. I was like, these thumbnails are pretty good looking, so let me share them on Instagram.
yeah, there are some pretty nice thumbnails, to be honest. So we got the Far From Home wave coming, if not just now gotten out, with a couple of the elemental kind of guys, and then it makes who is it? Who's the Build-A-Figure?
Molten Man.
It's a
Molten
putty.
Man or something?
It's a putty
Molten.
from the putty from 2016
Bird.
Power Rangers.
It looks like the poop
Gold.
monster from Dogma.
It does look like gold poop. It does look pretty bad, if I'm honest. But I mean, some of the figures are pretty good in there. I do kind of want the Spider-Man figures, but and Mysterio, because the new Mysterio is pretty sweet.
All right, we got the other Mysterio, and
yeah,
then
but it's
Hydra
not-
Man.
but it's
Hydra
not-
Man looks like the best of the wave.
Yeah, and then we got the new the next X-Men wave, right?
Well,
Or is
more
it
X
Well,
Force.
X-Force. No, that
You have the X-Force, and then
Yeah.
you have the Uncanny X-Men.
that's right.
The,
The classic or the
That's
vintage
fine.
carded.
The Toy Biz
Oh,
style
the
ones?
vintage ones. Yeah, you're right. That's what I was thinking. But I was thinking with some of the Alpha Flight wave as well. That's sort of coming. The partial Alpha Flight. So wait, that Storm is in the new vintage wave coming, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. It looked pretty cool. I don't really need anything else out of that wave. Other than
Nightcrawler.
I forgot about Nightcrawler. Speaking of which, did you
Mr.
see?
Sinister.
I don't really want Mr. Sinister, honestly.
Iceman.
Oh, by the way, I found a previous.
Yeah, right.
I found the Juggernaut. I found the Juggernaut Bath Iceman yesterday. So I thought about getting that one actually. The one who looks very frosty, so to speak.
I like that one too. I like both of them, but I
Yeah.
do like the more spiky haired and spiky back.
Yeah. What up? What up, Scott and Alex and Tattooed Toy Hunter, all in the chat? What's going on? So, out of these upcoming waves, what are you looking forward to? Because I have a feeling you don't need everything.
Me?
Yeah, or Judd or anybody.
I mean, I'm
Or
just
in the
getting.
chat.
I have Hydro Man pre-ordered. I pre-ordered that entire vintage wave minus that crappy Wolverine.
Oh yeah, you didn't mean to though.
Well, I did, but I
you
didn't
didn't mean to pay. You didn't mean to pay for it yet.
I was like, whatever.
Thanks, Pulse.
And then that's pretty much it. Like as for the Avengers wave, I mean, Beta Ray Bill may not be bad, but
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one because I want that Beta Ray Bill. And the
mainly Rescue and Shuri are the ones I want, and that War Machine's awfully beefy for a War Machine. I think they're just giving us a War Machine for Predator.
No,
or not Predator, but Punisher.
No, but that's the but that's the suit he was wearing at the end of the movie. Because when he came out of the ground at the end of the movie, that's what he was wearing. So it's almost like
watch it.
Yeah, because that was the weird thing. He was in his normal War Machine suit, and then when it came down to the final battle, when they finally came out from underground, he had that new suit on. So apparently he found that in the wreckage. So, by the way, guys, we will be talking movies later on, hopefully if we got plenty of time. But yeah, it's just, what is this, the Year of Legends? It's just Hasbro trying to make up for everything, or are they just trying to make up for the slightly pitiful Lightning collection?
Their Lightning collection isn't bad.
It's not bad, but the different scale is a little bit off. The details are nice, but the quality isn't quite there yet. Like they seemed rushed.
So I think the opposite. I think they have the more detail to the like the Rangers like paint and stuff like that, and they have like a little bit of more detail in the clothing, and their height I think should be that height due to the fact that they're kids.
Are they bigger or smaller than the Bandai?
They're smaller than the Bandai. Like my Lord Zed is shorter than my White Ranger. So I mean that's fun. I mean I like the details. They really went to the nines. But like there's in that first release, there's been a lot of paint mishaps. Actually, my Lord Zed has some blue paint on top of his head, like he was a little too close to a Shadow Ranger. And he had yeah, there you go. But he also had like the knee pads and a couple other things were popped off like completely in package, stuff like that. I mean, he looks great. His legs or his hips are a little bit weak and loose. And he was a first release, so maybe this next release is a little bit better. Just Kevo, what's going on?
You also got to stop throwing your toys against the wall when you get them home.
Dude, that thing.
Don't play with them.
Dude, that thing sat in a box for 2 weeks before I even opened it.
That's probably why it fell apart.
Yeah, that was it. That was
you just put more boxes on top of it.
Now with the Lightning collection, should they be doing them in like seasons like Bandai was doing, or should just keep up with the random releases though?
They should do seasons.
Yeah. I would be more into them if they did them by season. If they did like the Mighty Morphin and then separated them all.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, go ahead.
If I get into them, I'm only going to collect the Mighty Morphin.
Yeah, it just
that's the only part of the Power Rangers that I actually like literally watch the whole thing.
Exactly.
All the other ones I just sporadically watch, like if it was on or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I guess I'm in a weird zone because I don't have the whole Mighty Morphin Legacy collection. I've only got green, white, and red armored. So I guess I could fill those in. Yeah, that probably wouldn't offend me too much. But like, I have a hard time buying another version of the White Ranger when I've got a decent representation already. But I don't know. I guess I got to see what's coming. I do want that Goldar. That Goldar that's going to be the GameStop exclusive that in October, quote unquote. Oh yeah, you got your White Ranger.
You want it for that though.
What? Oh, the Tommy
The
head.
Tommy
Yeah.
head, man.
You want your JDF head?
Yeah.
It's literally better than the SH Figure Arts one.
I was about to mention
Accuracy
Figure Arts.
wise.
I will say that when I was looking through the White Ranger, deciding if I was going to get one, there's like 2 or 3 on the shelf. One of them, the head paint was really bad. Like the eyes were off, the eyebrows were off. Like it was, everything was off by like a millimeter. And had some paint mishaps in the hair. I'm just like, wow. Like, how did that get past QC?
Because it's Hasbro.
Oh, and by the way, guys,
Something
the
must have
Lord
been
the Lord
misaligned or
Zed
something.
shortage is over for everybody who was panicking trying to find a Lord Zed. They're everywhere. GameStop. I found 2 of them at GameStop yesterday. So he's everywhere. Just go get him.
I may need to get me a Zed. I know I need to get me a Shadow Ranger because he's like one of my favorite Rangers. Period. I actually have a huge collection of Shadow Ranger figures from when SPD was still a thing. So I need to get me a Doogie Kruger.
Yeah, he's actually really cool. I mean, I do like the fact that we went from Marvel to this, but it's fine. It's Hasbro. The swappable heads, the effect parts, and they come with weapons. Like they're already ahead of Bandai, and they're roughly the same cost, if not just slightly less. So I mean, I'm not gonna argue with them. I just want to see more. Like only doing 4 off the bat seemed a little. They were a little timid, I think. Like they weren't quite ready, even though they showed the White Ranger off at what SDCC last year.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Think about it, man. Though, like Hasbro doing their figures and stuff, so they're gonna do their figures, but like they also have Transformers. What if they did like scaled up Zords that could transform? You buy them individually piece, and then they turn into the giant Megazord, and you can fit the figures in them.
I would
That's
hate
what they're.
that.
Oh, scaled to the figures. Ooh. Wow.
No. So basically, I don't
Those
want them.
two.
I don't want to buy Zords individually. I want to buy them as a box set.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of what they're doing for the combining sword.
Which one though?
All of them for Beast Morphers. They're selling them
that's
as
Beast Morphers
individual.
though. Well, they're selling. Yeah, you're right. They are selling the Zords individually. I forgot about that. But there's only 3 to make the Megazord, so that's different. It's not like a Mighty Morphin where you got 5 minimum to buy.
Well, there's 3 to start, and then there's the 2 for
the extra
metallic 6 Rangers.
Yeah,
and there's 1 additional Zord that replaces like the red Zord later on in the series, provided they even go that far, do that thing, because since it's going to be a 2-year thing on Nickelodeon, I imagine there's always a chance that maybe they'll mix things up and only do half of Go Onger and move on to, I don't know, Q Ranger or something.
Yeah, who knows what they're going to do next, to be totally honest. I don't think they've even talked about it. I guess they're only going to do like 2 seasons. Please don't make it Mega or Super or whatever.
Yeah.
Blank. Just give us a real title, or just leave it the same title and just continue the season for all it matters. That's the dumbest thing that Saban did over here.
That's mostly Nickelodeon's fault,
yeah,
though, from my understanding.
Well, weren't they doing? Did they start that in the Disney era though?
Nope, that was a Nickelodeon thing.
So it was Nickelodeon only. Okay, I thought
started
maybe
with Samurai.
I thought Samurai was
Samurai, then Super Samurai. Then
I thought that
Mega
was
Force.
still Disney.
Nope, that was Nickelodeon. That was the start of the Neo Saban era when Saban got the rights back.
Okay, but yeah, I thought that was stupid. They shouldn't have done that. And then Mega Force was Mega and Super Mega was stupid. Those are 2 completely different things. And they're just like, hey, we're gonna make it 1 series. It's fine, no problem. But either way, lots and lots of legends coming up. We'll just see. It's kind of like just pick and choose, and we haven't even talked about 2-packs that are coming out or re-releases or anything like that, like the Juggernaut Colossus 2-pack that's coming eventually. I'm going to get that because you got to get those big boys. I don't care if it's like $70-$80.
I just want the helmet all bursted out and have a nice messed up Juggernaut.
Yeah, awesome. We need the Colossus who is a Juggernaut. That'd be awesome. Or when he had the Phoenix Force, that'd be awesome too. So is that? I guess we're done talking Legends. Should we move on?
Sure.
Okay,
Sure, go for it.
let's move on. We'll talk SDCC things. Oh, SDCC, why do you do these things to us? Specifically, we're going to talk about the NECA SDC special releases that were all on sale pretty much most of this week from noon to noon 01. It's like from 12 to 12:01, you could try to buy all the figures you would like to have. How many people actually got them that we know of? We know Brandon Backlund got the Turtles and the John Wick in the first day.
John
Connor.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
It's like
I said John Wick. I think he said John Wick. No, either way. No, the John Connor said, but yeah. I want the NECA Shredder, Splinter, and Foot Soldiers, but I don't think I need that whole set. It would be great. But obviously I missed my chance this time. Just everybody wait for the GameStop one. They'll be out.
I tried it. I tried getting it. Had people try to get it for me, and at the same time, it was just impossible. The fucking site crashed. I had it in the checkout, and I hit the checkout button. Just like wouldn't do anything. It just wouldn't go forward. And then I kept refreshing, and it just wouldn't work. And then all of a sudden, they're sold out. I'm like, really?
Yeah,
I had everything pre-ready.
Wow.
Their website was not ready for it. It really wasn't. Despite what they said, what they tried to do, it crashed. Like, I think the first day was the smoothest day for most people. And then every day after that, it was just crash, like 2 minutes in. Because, you got thousands of people all trying to flood to buy the same thing. And they were only releasing like 100 or 200 a day. And then there was a DC set, right? It was
Yeah, wasn't it Batman?
Aliens versus Predator.
Alien.
Superman
That's
versus
what I
Aliens.
thought. That's what I thought it was. Yeah. So it's the crossover, which is pretty cool. I don't need that by any means, and of course, NECA is killing it with their Aliens and Predator lines. So why not throw in some DC stuff for a nice crossover? So eventually they'll do Justice League versus the Turtles at some point, or Batman and the Turtles.
Well, they're already doing that Michelangelo Batman figure that's coming out, SDCC.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
It's like Michelangelo wearing the Batman cowl.
Oh, is that? Oh, that's
where
pretty
it's
awesome.
like kind of cattywampus on part of his head or something like that.
Yeah, it's like all cartoony, and then it actually looks like a soft goods cape with
cool.
like alternate hands and like a pizza slice, and then a manhole painted like a pizza.
So it's more comic book Mikey though. It's obviously not.
It's like cartoon. Yeah, it's not like movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I figured it's from the comic crossover. Which apparently has been pretty big. I haven't read it, but I've seen it, so that should be pretty cool, though.
And then Tony ended up getting the Nintendo or the Turtle set, and that was something that I thought was ridiculous. Is like, all right, they sold out of the Turtle set, but yet he was able to buy the whole Gigundus set that had everything.
Yeah,
he dropped $400 basically on every single exclusive just because he wanted that Turtle set. And he was messaging us. I think he was like, "What did I do?" And it's like, "What did you do?"
So wait, he instead of buying the individuals, you could buy the whole thing all at once
for $300 something. Like it was almost $400.
Actually, that makes sense. That would be the thing that people aren't jumping for. They want to pick and choose. But actually, that's a great idea.
But if the Turtles
sell the others off, yeah.
If the Turtles sold out, why would that still be up?
Because they're selling it as the box set. It's the same reason at GameStop when they got the Turtles, you could buy individual ones or all four. They weren't, so you were buying all four in one thingy, and that was a different SKU from the individual Turtles. So it's the same thing with this set. You can literally have a SKU for all three, or all however many sets of figures, and you could buy the whole Gigundus, as you said. And then that's sold as a separate deal. So they might have that as literally like an SDCC box, like with everything in it. So that's cool though. Except he's going to sell off the extra crap to us probably.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to make his money back like that though. That's the unfortunate part. Who the hell wants a Jabba the Hutt Chia Pet?
What?
Oh no.
Was that in?
Yeah, that was one of the items.
I missed that. I looked through the list quickly just for the things I wanted, but I'm like. But my problem is like
so it was like John Connor Turtle set, the Aliens vs Predator, Superman vs Aliens, the NECA It, and
the new one,
the Jabba the Hutt Chia Pet. I think those are the 6 items.
I didn't see the Chia Pet. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Is it at
I'm
least
looking
big?
at it now on Google.
I have no idea how big it is, but it's definitely something that's he's gonna keep it forever because nobody's gonna want to buy it.
Yeah, that's probably true. He'll probably just give it to you for Christmas.
I hope not.
He'll just gift it to you.
No.
Hey Arthur, I got a box for you.
Right? It's like, here you go, guys.
But he's gonna rebox it in something else and then run away. It's like,
But
hey,
then when he
I
gifts
gotta
it to
go.
me, I'll gift it to you. It'll just be this
I'll
gift that
take it. I think it'd be hilarious.
changing.
Hey, just run it over to Bobby Skullface. He loves everything Star Wars.
So the irrelevant Hulk is crying that we need to read the chat.
I'm reading the chat.
So am I.
Just Kevo
irrelevant Hulk.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Just Kevo says
would
he
be.
had that on pre-order. Blucker's videos and collectibles said yes, sir. I can only see so much chat, guys. I can't scroll back. I'm sorry. And Tattoo Toy Hunter. We know you're here. Judd doing the whatever. Judd, you're supposed to be monitoring the chat for us. And
I am.
And answering all the questions. You are the chat.
You got to realize
Oh, I have
Judd's
to
like
answer
a
the
snail.
question too? Oh, sorry.
Okay, so Mean Dave in the house. That was the last thing I definitely read. Did the new NECA Predator come out, the Van Damned one? Van Damned one? What's he talking about?
I don't think Van Damme and Predator were ever together.
Does anybody know what the hell he's talking about? We
Sort
don't know
of.
what-
He was the original suit actor.
For a little while, and then the other guy took over.
Yeah, and but it was also a completely different costume and concept for Predator. So,
Oh, yeah.
like, are they making a toy for that?
Maybe. You never know.
All right,
They-
nobody has- There's nothing to answer.
Okay, so the Michelangelo Batman he does have on pre-order. Okay, thanks, Kevo. Thank you. We appreciate that. Sorry, if you guys can see the screen, obviously the rest of you, not us all here. I have the chat window up, but I can't scroll back on that chat. But when we're in the middle of talking, it is hard to address the chat. We apologize. We'll do what we can.
I'll try to watch it better.
Yeah, try to watch things, Art. You know, it's
Me and Judd are on the opposite sides. The bearded men can control it.
You can handle it.
Bearded men. Hello.
That ain't no beard.
It's a beard.
It's peach fuzz.
It's more beard than Thomas has.
That's because I'm not allowed to grow a beard. My wife will not let me.
I wasn't allowed to, but that's because work wouldn't let me. My wife wanted me
Yeah.
to.
He wants him to look like a Wookiee.
But see, I can't. See, I can't have mine that long though. That's definitely like blatant. I have to keep it where it looks like it's shorter than it is. it's kind of dumb, like because I can only technically have it so long, but not like anybody's rolling around with a ruler to measure it. But if you have it like a full on Judd beard, they're gonna be like, hey, that's probably longer than what you're supposed to have. You know.
My beard's actually about 6 inches shorter.
Then
The
what?
camera adds length to it.
That's what you tell all the people who watch your other videos. The camera adds 6 inches. Sorry,
She
guys.
asked my wife,
It's definitely going to turn into that kind of stream at some point. We apologize.
Wait, how does it do that if it's coiled like a pig's tail?
He uncoils it for the camera. Oh, Jesus. John Wick Mezco figure. That's pretty cool.
I
still haven't
pre-ordered it.
I still haven't seen John Wick.
Any of them?
Any of them. Never have. I know they're really cool
I haven't
movies.
You
I've
need
never
to.
seen
You
them.
just need to step away. We'll take over this live chat. You can go watch it right now, and then afterwards you can come back and tell us, what you thought.
I don't know if I can handle Keanu Reeves that long.
Yeah, that's a little too much Keanu Reeves, even if it's good. I know the
There's
first
no
one is
such
probably
thing.
the best one. The second one apparently pretty good. The third one I've been hearing mixed reviews about. Either way.
Barry fucking tried to get in it, and she's trash.
Oh, Halle. Halle Berry, yeah. Oh, she was just on Hot Ones promoting John Wick.
Isn't that what I said? What did I say?
I didn't hear Halle, I just heard Barry. I'm like, Barry who? Barry tried to get in there, like you knew Barry. Like Barry tried to get in on the John Wick movies, they wouldn't let him in. It was like, you get out of here, boy. It's always Barry.
Something about messing up timelines.
Kevo and Tattooed Toy Hunter. It's I want it first.
You guys
It's
can
mine.
you guys can both have it. You don't have to fight over it. You two
I wasn't
Kevos,
gonna get it.
you two Kevos need to get along.
I wasn't gonna get it, and then I realized I had Agent Gomez, and then I'm like, you know what? John Wick and Agent Gomez, they could be friends. They're both assassins, and I was like,
They can be buddies.
and he comes to that giant trunk that stores all his gold and weapons, and it's just like, it looks so good.
To me, that's what makes that figure is that chest. It's all about that chest that comes with it. I could care less about the figure.
He just
Come on,
wants the
you don't
accessories.
you don't want the dog?
The dog's kind of cool too.
Which
Like
dog?
everything but the figure.
everything but the Keanu Reeves figure.
Shoki, go watch the movie. You'll understand.
No, I said which dog, not what dog. I know it's like I was saying. Is it the first dog or the second dog? His first
You'll have
dog
to-
didn't
you'll have
last
to watch
very
the
long.
movie.
First dog didn't last very long.
It's his second dog. It's from the
Yes,
second
but-
movie.
Yeah, but from the end of the second movie.
Way to spoil it for everybody.
What? No, I didn't. If you don't know about John Wick, by now-
Spoilers.
well, I mean, they're talking about it in the things. Yes, Caleb, we're going to be talking. Hopefully, we'll talk Godzilla here in a little bit. Speaking of Godzilla figures, there's some decent ones out there. Been looking at the SH Monster Arts. Cause,
Those are really nice.
yeah, but God, they're expensive.
I want them.
Yeah.
Because I looked at the NECA Godzilla, the new one, earlier, and I was just like, it's nice, but I don't need it. And I don't want the Jax one, like the really big Jax specific one. Definitely don't need that. But they are promoting the hell out of that.
But those look, you know what? The Jack specific ones are actually really nice for what they are. I mean, for being a cheaper figure, they did a pretty good job with them.
Yeah, I'm not saying they
At least I
didn't. I mean, Jax does good work usually, as long as they're not painting little tiny Nintendo figures. Someone tell Paul that yes, we are still on. Never mind. I'll do it.
Nope.
1960. Botaku said did you see the Xbox E3?
Yeah, we're gonna get there. That's why we have new games is the next section we're gonna talk about. Because Arthur was actually watching E3 earlier. I only caught a few things. So,
Oh man, can we kick Irrelevant Hulk out of the chat? We already talked about Marvel Legends.
we talked about Marvel Legends
Yeah,
first.
he was just
you were
late.
here.
No, he was late. Irrelevant Hulk, I don't think was in here.
Irrelevant Hulk. Oh, that's Paul. That's what
Nope.
it was.
It's not Paul.
Irrelevant Hulk? Or is that?
Yeah.
Who is that?
He likes Judd's favorite football team.
I know who it is.
I thought Irrelevant Hulk was Paul because I thought that's what he was on.
No, that
Or is
No.
it?
Tom
Oh.
Brady's boy.
Yeah. Never mind. I just remembered who he was.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
We already did.
But
so wait, why is Irrelevant Hulk not here talking with us instead of in the chat like a jackass?
because he's got his dong in his hand.
That hasn't stopped you. You guys think he's moving his mouse around? Paul Hughes has arrived.
What's up, sexy muffin?
Now we got to go all the way back. We got to go all the way back to what we got.
No, you don't.
Did you get? You've gotten some new stuff lately, Paul.
I got all kinds of new shit.
Well, show it off real quick. You're late. Just show it off.
He's not talking about your figures. You know what he wants to see.
I missed the beard, man. I didn't hear that at all.
I didn't hear you.
Oh yeah, because he got that. Yeah, he got the Hydro Man.
Yeah,
Spiffy.
only one I found. Only one. I got new Motu, Shikoti. You got that. I got the Demogorgon.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and I've had him for a while, but I finally took out my Voldemort, my Voldemort.
Yeah,
That looks awesome.
I saw the pictures. That thing is awesome.
Creepy looking.
Yeah.
It's sick.
Shouldn't a flame be blue though?
Well, no, he does. That's from
Or is
Order
it
of the Phoenix, where the Fiend Fire, and he
Oh, he
blows
blows
There's
it out
actually-
that way. It's not when he eat. Yeah, okay. Wrong scene.
has
Gotcha.
he had the extra head where it's him like blowing.
What, the tongue flicking?
Don't do that facial expression again,
Wait,
Paul.
how'd
Somebody-
that go, Paul?
Yes. Show us your magic fellatio. I'm sorry to everyone in the chat. This is just what happens when the cannibals get together.
And demonetized.
Fire.
Fire.
It's
Now,
like fire.
now he's vomiting fire. Well, if there's fire coming out of it, you should probably stop.
Wait, he might be talking about Carrot Top.
Carrot crotch. Okay, either way. All right, so where are we? We're talking new video game stuff that is basically any new news we came out with, even if we didn't catch all of E3. But since you did watch some of the Microsoft stuff earlier, Arthur, why don't you go ahead?
Arthur,
I mean, the Microsoft stuff that was announced. I mean, they came out with their shit swinging. I mean, they're very dominating, I would say, in E3 due to the fact that they announced like 60 games. And then they're also making like 30 something of those games like part of their Game Pass, which I thought was pretty impressive. Like 60 brand new titles, and 30 something of them are going to be free when they come out to the people that have Game Pass. But games that stood out, really that Cyberpunk 2077, Borderlands 3, always huge fan of Borderlands.
Yeah, people have been waiting on that one.
And
Yeah, Borderlands 3 is going to be a must-have for me.
there was like, one that surprised the heck out of me. They're making a Blair Witch video game,
Another one.
and it looks awesome.
And it's not a
Super top.
Is that not a Telltale
What's that?
game or what?
No, it's not. Like, I was watching and I was like, what the heck is this? Like, this guy's like with his dog. He's like, all right, let's go, Bullet, and he's going to find this kid in the woods. And it goes like first person, and like he's in the woods. Woods are changing. Stuff's like zipping past him through the trees and stuff. And he
Sounds
runs into
cool.
this like house, and it's like abandoned house and stuff like that. And it's crazy. It was just like really cool. I think it's gonna be a good jump scare game.
Hey, it looks like Tony got that Spider-Man Homecoming 2-pack.
Oh, he would.
He just sent
He
that in
would.
the chat. Yeah, the yellow jacket and with the MJ.
There's like 10 of
Yeah, sorry, the one that
He
just
still needs that bomber jacket, Captain Marvel too.
He needs that still.
He's been
I might be able to get that for him. Oh wait, never mind. I don't.
Yeah, he found one, but it was like the package was all jacked up.
I got him one. I haven't sent it.
Oh, see, Paul's got
Oh,
him.
Paul has one.
I got one for him, and it's actually still sitting there. But I'm really bad about going to the.
It's just
because the
Tony-
post
it's just
office is
Tony,
evil
though.
and the devil.
Yeah, it's like if it's not
It's
for
not on my
Ryan, it's
way.
hard.
Well, Ryan, he just did it, and then his elves take it to you.
Those are not elves.
His minions, they're imps.
Those are
That's what we
Cambodian children that he keeps in his garage.
You're telling all his secrets.
Well, that's why his name in the chat is my sweatshop brings all the toys to the yard. I think that's the best nickname I gave anybody in the chat. I think the thing I'm most excited for is the Halo Infinite, since they showed off that trailer, which looks awesome. I have no idea why it's setting up the way it is, but it looks awesome. It was actually just showing. It wasn't showing like real gameplay necessarily. It was showing like a cinematic style trailer, but done with the actual game engine, and it looked amazing. And definitely like how they always set up a Halo at the beginning, like, oh, we've got Chief back, and now he's got to do his quick little thing to get your controls down, his reboot mode kind of stuff. And then it just jumps right into the action, like it always does in the first few seconds. But you and I were talking earlier when we were just chatting, and we were mentioning, has like, where the hell's the next Halo game? And boom, oh, hey,
Right
there's
there
the
it
next
is.
Halo game. I was like, that's awesome. Because I was showing you
They're
off
all they.
I was
Oh,
showing
go
you
ahead.
my Xbox collection over here, my Halo Xbox collection. You're like, do you just need all the Halo Xboxes? I'm like, yeah, all of them. The only one I don't
And
have
then-
is the Halo 2 original Xbox.
I had a Halo Xbox, and then it broke. And then I bought another Xbox, and it broke. And pretty much every Xbox I've ever bought has broke. So I don't.
I
So,
was
so Paul supports PlayStation. What it sounds like.
Yep, pretty much. I would get both. but all the Xboxes broke. Every
Yeah.
single one.
Because they're not made for making waffles, bro.
They are when that gets that red ring of death. When it gets that damn hot, you can definitely make some
Yeah.
waffles.
Yeah, I could fry an egg on most of them.
Yeah, the
my-
360s on me, I got the red ring multiple times.
Ooh.
I was lucky. It was only on my base model 360 that I ever had that problem. My Halo 3 Xbox will still run no problem. But then the other ones
For
are
now.
are the later 360s when they changed the design, and then of course the Xbox One out there. So,
Yeah.
but I don't even.
I still got my Star Wars 360, the R2D2 one.
Oh, okay, that's a good one. Then never mind. I was gonna make fun of you.
About what? Halo fucking collecting
Dude,
3 Xboxes in
hold
a
on.
display case.
Have you seen the Halo 4 360? It is beautiful. Actually, the Reach one
I'm
is
good.
actually.
But when
I
I,
don't even- I
open
don't-
my 360, it makes R2D2 noises.
Mine makes Halo.
And then it says inside the tray, it says "Help me, Obi-Wan."
That's stupid.
That's
And
hilarious.
the controller is C3PO.
That's even stupid.
It's all gold chrome.
I'm not looking at the chat. Is the chat getting angry with us? Oh, it's just
My
irrelevant
PS
fault.
Pro is just black.
They want to
and
talk about
black
Fantasy Star Online.
controllers. And it plays
Oh
games.
yes,
Sorry, we were just talking over Judd. He's like Fantasy Star.
right. I'm sorry. Thomas said it, and I forgot. I was like, "That's a big deal." Fantasy Star Online too.
Ooh,
How's
in
that-
all caps.
All caps.
All
you know,
caps.
I had the only Fantasy Star I ever played was Fantasy Star 4 on the old Sega Genesis, and I loved that game because that was the only RPG I could play. And I played that
Good
shit
one.
over and over. That was a great game, and it was long.
There's still people. There's still people who are like super into it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, there's people who still play Final Fantasy 3 on their Super Nintendos.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I
and,
have it, but
and Final Fantasy 7 when it gets remade finally.
then everybody's gonna be chocobos for 5
Well,
hours.
Have y'all seen the trailer that they posted a couple months or about a month ago?
Yeah, it looks pretty shiny.
It looks nice.
I still prefer the original though. But that's just me.
I
old
never
cranky.
got to finish the original because my PlayStation was stolen with disc 2 in it.
Oh,
Oh no.
So there was no, I'm sorry, it was still disc 1. Disc 1 was stolen, not disc 2.
oh.
I still
That's
had my save
almost-
card. I was so pissed. And the thing is, it wasn't my game. I borrowed it from a friend of mine. So he lost. I mean, at that point, he had already played through it. But no, I'm excited about the Final Fantasy remake. But the gameplay is very different from the old school days. But it's still pretty awesome. Though I kind of wish they had gotten the voice actors from the movie from Advent Children. I think that would have been more.
Yeah, that would have
badass.
been cool.
For anybody who hasn't seen Final Fantasy Advent Children, go watch it. It's actually a pretty decent video game movie, and it never gets any credit.
It's better than the fantasy movie.
Well, yeah, the original wasn't even
The-
Final Fantasy.
the
They just
spirit.
used the name.
Yeah, it came out with actually, yeah, Advent Children came out a year later, like after Spirits Within,
Yeah.
and wasn't like a theatrical release or anything. Actually, I have the
No,
I have the one with the subs. I've got the Japanese DVD with the subs and everything. It's beautiful.
I like the. After that, they made like Kingsglaive, which
Yeah,
I thought that was entertaining.
I never saw that. Was it good?
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good.
And then, speaking of video game movies, I'm still sore about the fact we never got a Peter Jackson Halo movie.
Well, that all got screwed up.
Dude, you know they still have the Warthog at Weta Workshop, like the one they built.
Oh yeah,
It's
Oh,
still
wow.
there.
They-
Like,
rolled it out at some conventions.
well, there's a
They-
couple
they
companies.
Had, they had
Yeah,
Go ahead.
well, there was a British company that made one, but I think the Weta one is technically more accurate, but it's still pretty awesome. Just saw it in the background of a tested video while they were over at Weta, and I was like, "Dude, Warthog, that's awesome."
Weta comes every Emerald City Comic Con just about now for the past like 7 or 8 years,
Mhm.
and there's a guy who actually he has a book that he brings, and it's just full of like all this awesome stuff that they've made that they've just like never used. Just
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff that just.
I was gonna say, speaking of Weta, because they're doing. Sorry, I don't mean to talk over you, Paul. There's always a delay whenever you like pop over. For some reason, there's a delay in your audio. I apologize. I don't mean to talk over you. So go ahead.
Oh, that's fine. But yeah, like if you ever go to a convention where Weta's there, see if there's any of the designers, the actual designers themselves there, because a lot of them have like pictures of like concept stuff they actually built that was just never in the movies, because they did like Chappie, and they did I mean, they didn't just do Lord of the Rings. There's like so much there's so much stuff they've done. They did Ghost in the Shell. Like, even though Ghost in the Shell sucks as a movie, the concept stuff they did for it is so good. So it's worth just checking out some stuff they built.
Yeah, and a lot of people give Weta Digital a ton of credit, because they're obviously the ones who make all the pretty computery stuff. But like the actual physical stuff that gets built is ridiculous.
It's crazy.
And like you said, they don't roll out a lot of it. It just sits in warehouses. Right now, very recently, they just did like a World War One movie, and it's all about pilots and dogfighters and stuff like that. And they had real planes restored and things like that for the movie. Like, that's ridiculous.
Oh, cool.
And I think Peter Jackson, because he has a passion for them, he knows how to fly one of those old school planes, things like that. I learned a lot of. If you watch Tested, they have a very good relationship. Adam Savage now has a very good relationship with Weta Workshop, and they do a lot of stuff. Speaking of that, they have another model kit rolling out. They did the Moose from Chappie as a model kit now that you can buy. So that's pretty badass.
What scale is it?
I don't know, but the box is enormous. Like, the box is
it's
cube
huge.
this big. So I mean, it's huge. It's got to be like a good, because that thing wasn't like stories tall. It's got to be something like a 1/60th, maybe a little bit bigger. Because it's good size.
I should look back in my pictures and maybe I'll post some, because I have a bunch of pictures from Weta, the stuff that they brought to Comic-Cons, like Emerald City's 4 or 5. I have pictures of Weta stuff, and it's their statues are stupid good. Like, their giant Balrog statue that they had about 3 years ago.
I remember it.
And it's cheaper than buying like Jabba's sail barge. You get it for like $400, but it's bigger. It's like huge. And they have such great stuff. And they usually do like these crazy sales too. If you're willing to buy these big showcase pieces, like, you don't spend that much in the grand scheme, especially if you're into Hot Toys or whatever.
Yeah, if you're buying any of their direct merchandise, like figures or kits or statues or whatever like that, yeah, you can buy that stuff directly from them. But if you're talking like real props, of course, if you catch on with the Prop Store of England, they sell all that kind of stuff several times a year, and they've got a good relationship there. So if you want like armor and weapons or other little things that have been involved in movies, you can totally get those things. Or things made for video games, perhaps. Like if they got some live action actual scenes in there, because they kind of go to them for all kinds of stuff. Another upcoming game that I believe that a lot of us here are excited for, the new Pokemon game. Or games.
Yes.
What kind of game is it? Is it
it's
like
a standard
Stadium?
It's a standard Pokemon game. It's a regular one, but of course now it's on the Switch. It's the normal adventure game. Shield and Sword set in fictional Pokemon England, which is going to be awesome. Although they showed off the two legendaries for the set, and I'm not keen on their design. I think they look like Digimon personally.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they don't look like something that, like, the sword wielding one is okay, but the shield one is weird. Like, the whole front of his chest.
Shield one looks a little puffy.
The whole front of his chest and everything surrounding his head looks like a lion's mane, but made of a shield, and it's so strange. But the sword wielding one is cool, and then they get in the trailer for the game, they get interrupted by something else. I think it's also introducing giant Pokemon, in actual gameplay. You can actually make your Pokemon grow, so to speak.
Yes.
Ernest wants to know if we're still
Dynamax
going.
or
Yeah.
something.
I don't know what it's actually called, but I dig it. Well, I dig it to a degree, but I have a problem with it. Only in the fact that, like, at one point you're battling in a stadium with 2 giant Pokemon. I'm like, everybody in the stadium's dead if you use flamethrower. You know? I was like, it's like, and they show that, like, they're using like big attacks on each other and they're only hitting each other. I'm like, did we forget about the fact there's everything around here? But a lot of the new
They
Pokemon
might have protective glass though, like a hockey game.
maybe, or force fields or something. We don't know if it's
Shield.
something. It's hard to tell in the actual thing, but I think it's really cool. I'm like the last one, Sun and Moon. I did not get very far in at all, and I just quit playing. This one I'm kind of excited for, and it's on the Switch, so I'm really happy about that. I can actually play it in my living room for the first time.
Gives me a reason to play my Switch.
That's the problem here. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting both games and have the wife play one and I play the other, and then we could no, because we'll need another Switch to be able to trade back and forth probably.
So why wouldn't you just get another Switch? Got an anniversary or Valentine's coming up.
Well, no. Well, actually, hold on. What's today's date? The 9th. Our actual anniversary is pretty soon.
There you go.
So, but no, I'm not buying her another Switch. She barely plays one she has. But I did actually. Last night we were at GameStop and I almost pre-ordered the games. But I assume they're not going to be Game Boy money. I assume they're going to be Switch money.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
That's for Switch.
Yeah, they're gonna be $60 a piece because the main title on the Switch instead of being like the 3DS games, which were what, 40 at max.
But graphically, it's better.
It's better in the fact that it actually has a good amount of pixels. Not that there was anything really bad about the previous versions, but they were limited by the hardware. But yeah, being able to play a true HD regular Pokemon game. Not saying that the Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu weren't that, but And I'm just waiting to see if we get a Detective Pikachu based on the movie. So,
well, there's the Detective Pikachu 3DS game.
Oh, I know. I know that we have a movie based on a game, but that doesn't mean we're not going to get a game based on the movie. Think about it. It's really going to be a thing.
With Ryan Reynolds.
With Ryan Reynolds voice acting as Pikachu in the game, because he apparently seems to be hard up for money with all the projects he's doing. I don't understand that. He's going to be rolling.
I don't know if it's hard up. I think they're throwing him giant checks because people watch his movies.
Yeah, they do. I mean, even though he's not on screen for Detective Pikachu, it's pretty awesome for just being voice acting. Although there's a part of me that kind of wanted the Danny DeVito version that we were sort of teased when it first was announced. I was like, dude, Detective Pikachu as Danny DeVito would have been great. Horrible, but great. Get comfortable there, Paul.
I'm trying to. I just got home from work, so I haven't even set anything up really.
It's all good, buddy. I do appreciate you jumping in at the last second. We did push it back just a little bit. Hopefully that you could get in. Trying to get Ernest in. He was just asking if we were still going. Yes, we are still going, Ernest. Let's see. Vataku there. King Slave was awesome. Yay, Pokemon. I want sword. I want my own Dark Soul sword wielding wolf. Yeah. And electrode use explosion. Yeah. Let's get a giant electrode and have a use explosion in the middle of a stadium because that's going to end well.
But yeah, I would think they'd have like a bunch of Kadabras or Alakazams or something stationed around the stadium making barrier.
That's like too much. Like you're just thinking way too far ahead.
Superpowered Mr. Mimes.
Well, here's the thing: whenever you're battling with your giant Pokemon, it pops up behind you, like a stand from JoJo. It's like just it's whatever. It's like that thing has to fight over you now as you give it orders. What's up, Ernest? Ernest is here. There we go. He got his rotate on.
Hey.
Mr.
Ernest. With his baby face.
Can you guys hear me okay?
You're quiet.
You're a little bit quiet. Is your thumb over the microphone?
Yeah, maybe.
He's not that baby face. He's actually pretty scruffy.
How's
Guys,
everybody doing?
We're doing pretty good, man. For guys, if you don't know Ernest, I think you've been on one of my videos before, but hey, he's another fellow collector and one of the cannibals. He's always begging us to do a live stream, so he's always jumping on whenever we actually get to do one. Oh wait, no, you jumped in on a open nerdcast not long ago. That's right.
I did.
Because like
yeah,
you,
I
me,
was
and
at work,
Joey.
though.
That was
So-
fun. That was a fun night.
Yeah.
Even though
Started
you're at
talking
work.
about food.
Yeah, we talked about food for a long time. We left hungry.
Yeah, I was starving at, I don't remember what time, it was like midnight our time. So.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so because we're doing this for anybody who jumps in, have you gotten anything new lately?
Yeah, actually.
I know you tend to get good stuff.
Every once in a while. So I haven't really picked much up because I've been doing a vintage kick, but I had to swing by Walmart and pick up this guy. I think everybody's been picking this guy up.
Yeah,
I'm sure everybody's kind of talked about him. So
we talked a lot of legends earlier, and sadly, it's not available in my area right now. Or if it is, it's
not.
No,
Not here either.
It just
Not
it literally just hit my Walmart, I think yesterday. I saw there were 2 on the peg, so I can go back and check for you guys if you guys want to. Or I mean, again, it just hit at least here in Central Illinois yesterday for me. I'm looking also for a couple of Mega Constructs Wave 5 for Nate Simmons. He hooked me up with I don't know if you guys saw the post, but the Terminator, my vintage Terminator collection. So he was able to hook me up with the Power Arm Terminator, which I was super pumped about, and also got a couple of surprises in there. The T1000, the white hot version of that, he hooked me up with as well, and then the bronze Terminator endoskeleton also. So
wow,
I was really pumped about that. So I'm looking for a couple of figs for him for sure. And they haven't hit my area yet. I was thinking that they, which is the Scareglow and what was the other masters? Stratos, I think, is Wave 5.
Yeah, haven't seen it either.
You haven't? Okay, good.
I need that Donatello.
I was thinking that they hit my area already, and so I went to go check, and I talked. So one of the good things about I go to Walmart and Target a lot. There's 2 people that basically run the toy department, and I talk with them all the time, and they usually tell me when stuff is coming in, so I don't have to go to the store every day.
that's
Pro
good.
tip: make friends with the people who work in the departments.
Yeah,
sure.
it does of
So I'll
course
be
help
like-
if they speak English, though. I don't seem to have that.
I usually go in the mornings. There's a Walmart on my way into work, so I can stop in first thing. And there's a lady there that I talk to, and she's usually like, "Oh, we're resetting the shelves, or we're getting a shipment in of this new stuff or this XYZ movie that'll be coming out in this day." So I know when to check back, and that's always helpful. That way I don't have to keep wasting gas going in. I was actually surprised. I don't know if you guys have had this happen in your Targets, but the NECA, all of a sudden, I hadn't had anybody stocking the NECA shelves for, I don't know, like 4 months. And then all of a sudden one day I went in and boom, there's like a whole new selection of NECA product that I hadn't seen in forever. So I was really excited about that.
Yeah, ours did that for sure. There was almost like nothing, and then all of a sudden they restocked. Like it was just all the things. But I went into Target last night when we were just out and about, and I'm like, shit, where's all the NECA stuff? There was the Funko stuff, and I was like, where's all the NECA stuff? And then I turn around, it's all on an end cap instead. I was like, oh, here it is. But I was going to ask you, that Terminator and stuff that he sent you, or the T1000s, were those the NECA versions or old ones?
Yeah, they were the NECA versions.
Oh,
so
okay.
I had a couple of the vintage ones, but I was looking, like I basically wrote off NECA at my Target stores, and then again, like I said, they just this past week got restocked, so I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I'll get some in, but none of that. I think that particular wave of Terminator figures I hadn't seen ever.
I saw them like 2 months ago, and I didn't know anybody was out.
Did you?
Yeah. That's like,
Well, I was just one of those where if I see them, I'll pick them up, and then I saw Nate was selling them, and I was like, man, I got to help a brother out, and also help my collection out, and he definitely hooked me up. So I'm in the process. In case you guys don't know,
oh, here we go.
Is it in our shadow box?
Here we go.
I'm very tempted to put them in just because I had this Terminator exploding version, the T1000.
Yeah.
But I doubt they're ever going to make that. So the white hot version, I was like, if I ever see that, I'll pick it up. But he ended up hooking me up with that, so I was very excited about that.
Man, if you need NECA stuff, man, let me know because it seems like my targets get stacked with NECA.
No kidding. So I kind of just wrote them off like, oh, maybe someday if I see people selling stuff. So one of the other things that I picked up, which I don't usually buy additional things for my Mezcos because I think they're pretty boss, but someone had posted some replacement parts on eBay. Somebody posted a link. I'm gonna put my phone down for a second, guys. Sorry. I can't do this one-handed.
So professional, Ernest.
Yeah, I know.
There you go. Widescreen. That's what we need.
But so I ended up getting. So here's this guy's face, right? Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Somebody was selling the Hot Toys version. I don't know if it's coming in.
Yeah, that's
dang.
1/6, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to pick it up. It's a man nipple. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the guy.
You say man nipple?
That's what I
Man
heard.
nipple, yeah.
Okay.
But the face on this thing the sculpt is great, but it's like digitally printed. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Cool.
I thought it was just like a hand painted thing, but no, it's like actual like digitally printed. So like the difference, I don't know if you can tell, is like
It's ridiculous, yeah.
night and day.
That's amazing.
So I'm like super pumped to like get this thing swapped out. It came with
You got the hands?
the hands as well.
Oh,
Because,
thank God.
and
And
the
the skin
neck.
tone. Yeah.
Yeah, because the skin
Yeah.
tone is so much better. That you guys can see it's like ghostly pale
Super pale, yeah.
compared to like Wonder Woman and the Batman. So I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get a Henry Cavill because I really like Henry Cavill as Superman, and I thought that Mezco was pretty dope. And I saw this. It was a little pricey for the set, but I was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. I saw the pictures of it, and just the fact that the eyes are like glossy and it,
Hot Toys.
like,
Hot Toys is always on their game.
it was like it was a shrunk down version from China, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. It was like I think $38 shipped off of eBay, and I was like, oh, more than what I wanted, but at the same time, I'm like, I really love my Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman collections. The other day, I don't know if I posted this on there, but I ended up finishing up this collection. I got the Wonder Woman, and she scales and
Nice.
fits really well with
Linda Carter. Nice.
with the NECA. Yeah, with the NECA version. So I was like, until NECA does the Linda Carter version, that DCUC or whatever, I don't know what line that's under, will fit. So, one of the other things I started picking up. The reason why I got this guy here is because I have this set, this one right here, of pre-Endgame Avengers, like my favorite versions of their costumes or whatever set up. And then I want to do this
Oh,
version.
I see what you're doing.
And I was like, I need this, and I can't wait for them to get the Heavy Thor so I can replace him. But they got the new Hulk coming out, right? The Smart Hulk.
Yep.
And so I've been on eBay trying to find Captain America. I had Hulk and this Iron Man, so I'm looking to pick up the Gold Black Widow, and they made a version, Toy Biz made a version of Hawkeye. They're a little bit more than what I want to spend on eBay, but I think I might have to bite the bullet once I get that collection done, so I can have, my vintage collection, and then pre-Endgame, and then Endgame versions. So this cap will be up there with the Mjolnir. Actually, I don't know. I haven't decided. I kind of want him with it, but then I might do if they release a version of him with the broken shield, eventually it might just get replaced with that and give Thor both of the hammers.
Watch that be a Target exclusive or something,
Yeah.
or Canadian Toys R Us exclusive.
And the other thing I picked up recently, just because I wanted to start bolstering up some glow in the dark, I ended up picking up the glow in the dark Mezco because Big Bad Toy Store had it on for like normal price. I think it was like $75 or something like that, and I thought it was a pretty decent deal. I know everybody wants the regular non glow in the dark version, but let me tell you, when the lights are off on this thing, I don't know if it'll show up. It glows like a son of a bitch. It's ridiculous.
Language.
Sorry.
No, I'm just joking because you got Captain America.
You probably can't tell.
Oh, you can see it. You can see the cape.
Yeah, it's.
He's gonna wander through this room dark now. This will be fun.
Yeah.
Turn the light off. Try to wander back. Oh shit! It's all dark now.
I don't know if it's a
best video
probably
ever
not
when he
gonna
trips
show
and busts his head open.
you can't see
You go
it.
right
Yeah, you
to
can.
the-
You can.
Camera's not.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
can,
doing
You can
it
see the
justice.
cape.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's pretty ridiculous.
it's gone now.
But yeah, the cape is something sick.
So welcome to Ernest in the Dark,
Uh,
where he sits in the dark and
think
talks
that's
about toys.
I think that's about it as far as new stuff. I think that's. Oh no, that's a lie. I forgot I got this guy recently. I can't wait for the full Cowboy Bebop set. That's gonna be pretty sick.
By the
And I
way,
ended up
you should
picking up
probably
also the
point.
Hellboy.
You should probably point at the things that you say are new instead of just like camera.
Oh.
This is new. Like we all know your shelves. You mean that
Oh, sorry.
I knew what he
Spike
was
Spiegel,
talking about.
Cowboy Bebop.
once he
in case
said Cowboy
anybody,
Bebop, yes.
But
I'm like, the Hellboy?
And then the 1,000 Toys
Hellboy,
Hellboy.
which is
I
awesome.
am very tempted. Kind of on the fence on whether or not I want to spend an additional $30 for the KO of it, because from what I've heard, the additional horns and the sword come with that set. And I'm like, oh, that'd be
And the
awesome to
fire.
have. Yeah, and the fire. And I'm like, oh, I kind of want to display it with that, but I don't
Do
really want to buy the official at the price that the official is going for.
Do it.
Just
do it.
But I kind of like him as he is there too. So it's a pretty dope fig. So I can't complain.
Who's doing a line of coke right now?
Those are
No, it wasn't.
He's like, no, it's not. Shut up. All
I
right.
think that's it. Oh, one last thing. I ended up finally picking up this guy here.
Old school
Everybody
Jetfire.
knows
Oh, G1 Jetfire.
G1 Jetfire. I got it on
No
eBay
yellowing
for
either. Nice.
a decent price, and I really wanted it because I wanted to put it in my Robotech Macross collection, and then I was like, oh man, I don't know. I kind of I saw who was it? Jimmy posting about the DX Chogokin. I think Nate also got one. The DX Chogokin Valkyrie by Bandai, the new one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. But they're doing the movie version, the Do You Remember Love version, which is closer to the Jetfire. So I'm like, oh. When I saw that was coming out as an exclusive, I was like, I'm gonna have to get it. So I have to pick up the Jetfire to go with it. I've always wanted one. I never had it as a kid, but I always wanted one to kind of play Robotech with. So now it's part of my collection. I'm pretty psyched about that.
Yeah, I ordered the Siege Jetfire that comes with the swappable parts to make him into the G1 toy version. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully it'll be here by the end of the month.
Yeah, I saw you post about that, and I'm a little jealous. I've been holding off wanting to get that. Is it like $80 or something like that? I
Yeah,
can't
it's
remember
$80.
what the
I
price
mean,
is
it's
on
not bad for how big he's gonna be.
it.
And I'm definitely gonna get
Well,
that Omega.
Again, I can't complain because that G1 Jetfire that I bought was definitely more than that. So
Oh, really?
those things don't go cheap. Yeah, it wasn't because it was basically complete. There's only like 2 pieces that I'm missing on it. So
Nice.
I'm like, yeah, I was trying to justify the price, and then you gotta love one of those or best offer type of things. So I was able to get it where I wanted to get it at, at least where I thought was a decent price with all the accessories in the condition that it was in. None of it was yellowing. All the super pack parts Didn't have any stress marks, and everything was pretty good. So it
Wow.
was just missing a couple pieces. Yeah, so
And it's
all the
not
joints were still clickety clacky.
it's not one of the re-releases from a few years ago.
No, it's it has the official thing. So I was really pumped about it. It's just, again, the two pieces obviously that it's missing is the gun clip, which goes for like $50 on eBay, $50+ which is a little tiny piece of plastic.
And it always breaks, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm like, man, I don't want to spend $50 on a
Just a
little piece
part.
of plastic. And then the other part is just the little leg clip for one of the side super part packs on the legs. The clip that the right leg needs one to hold it up. Other than that, those are the only two pieces. So,
do you think maybe there's a crappier one out there that you could buy that's complete for less money than buying only the one part?
I kind of was looking at that, and again, it's like at least another $50 if I want to get a set. And I just like, well, maybe as it stands, I love the figure. I mean, you can't even tell where it's standing in my display case. I have enough stuff in front of it that's blocking all the fact that part isn't on the leg. And I'm a completionist in the sense that if I someday come across it, great. If I don't, that's fine too.
Maybe Shapeways has something.
I've considered just doing like somebody 3D printing it, because there's a lot of people out there that will 3D print darn near everything, you know.
That's true.
So I definitely have thought about it.
Wasn't there a Generations version that came out that was just like an imitation of the G1? Wasn't it like 4 or 5 years ago? It wasn't a re-release. It was just similar.
Yeah, they're not allowed to. What is it? The F.
They can't technically.
F14?
Yeah, they can't technically copy it.
VF1, not S. I think J.
No, it's one where they have to use like yeah.
Yeah, are you talking about this one down here? This
Yeah, that guy.
Generations version.
Yeah. Generations version. Yeah.
It's
not the Valkyrie version. He's the
yeah.
Excuse me. Good Lord, that was in there.
But that's it that I can think of.
Finally, he's done with what he got.
Yeah, sorry. It's been a long time. We haven't really chatted in a while.
No, it's fine.
So.
Because the last time you were at work, so you didn't really get to show off anything. So it's all good.
Yeah.
But next time we'll be able to have everybody at the beginning, so we'll have a 45-minute what we got. But it's all good. I think we did all the game talk we were going to talk anyway, so that's fine. Because we wanted to move on, so we haven't been able to talk movies in a while, and there's been a lot of big movies that have happened since we did the last Plastic Cannibals. Some little movie called Endgame happened. Only
Nobody watched that. Let's just skip that one.
Nobody saw it. It didn't. It hasn't beat Avatar just yet, but it's been a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize Art dropped out. Art's internet died. I didn't even notice he was gone.
Oh, his internet died?
Yeah.
No.
He said his Comcast quit on him. He'll jump in if he can again later. But either way, assuming everybody here has seen Endgame, if there's anybody even watching anymore, I haven't seen the chat move in a good 20 minutes. It was a good movie. I thought that was pretty decent. I mean, yeah, it's only like the biggest movie of all time.
Something like that.
Like
right?
11 years and 22 movies in the making, or 21 movies in the making. I specifically didn't do a review on it, but God, it was a good movie. I mean, like, even now, like, most of that, it was a couple months ago it came out, right? Beginning of May,
April,
or end of April. And I still remember a lot of that movie. How many movies can you say that you've watched recently that you can still remember a very good chunk of what happened? And it was 3 hours long.
Yeah.
It's a 3-hour movie that you can still remember most of, like all the different
It
scenes.
didn't feel like a 3-hour movie.
No, it was
Not at all. It didn't feel like 3 hours at all.
That was the shortest 3-hour movie I've ever seen, for sure. Like, even at the end, you're like, I want more. Like, it's like they gave you a 3-hour epic, and you still wanted to keep watching when it was done. Your bladder didn't want to, but it was like, personally, I think I had to go at least the whole last hour. And I'm just like, I'm not leaving. Like, I think I'm past the point of you could miss this moment. And we were in the theater completely opposite where the bathroom was. So it would have been a good couple minutes that I would have been gone. But
Let me ask you, how many times did you actually go see it in the theater?
me, only one.
One.
I never
I'm only
re-see
at
movies.
2. Yeah, having kids, man. It's like
That's not-
maybe, yeah, maybe I find a weekend or
I'll probably go see
an
it.
evening.
Is
I was
it
hoping to see it 3 times, but I don't know if the third time is gonna make it before it.
is it still in theaters where you guys are?
Yeah,
It is here,
like-
but it wouldn't surprise me if they try to basically get it out of the theater so that they can get it released on DVD sooner. It's usually like a 2-month turnaround after
Like,
it leaves theaters or something like that.
Am I one of the only ones who thinks like it should be on Blu-ray like 2 weeks after it's finally out of the theater? Like it should be instant nowadays. Like the Blu-ray and special editions and all that crap should be done before the movie ever hits theaters, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
it's like a day of would be asking a lot, but like people are already throwing the bootlegs out there 2 days later. So like
Not even just bootlegs, like high quality bootlegs.
decent.
So,
Yeah, I know. I had a friend who watched the crappy bootleg just to watch it, and then went and saw it in the theater later. I'm like, what was the point of that? Was that like you needed to double check to see if it was good enough to see in the theater? Are you out of your mind?
well, you know, some people just can't get to the theater and they don't want to get spoiled, so they gotta see it as soon as they can, however they can, I guess.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. I just looked at the chat. Jimmy just brought up a very interesting idea. I hope I can transfer all of my 3DS Pokemon to my Sword and Shield on the Switch. I don't know that they'll be able to do that because they took away all the online capabilities for all the previous Pokemon games, right?
There's the Pokemon Bank.
Does it still function?
I'm pretty sure I thought I saw something about that when they were talking about all the other services that they were doing.
Okay, because that would be
so-
bad. Wow,
But I don't know. I don't know how it's all interconnected or something. But I think they effectively created Pokemon Bank with the idea of
Moving
having
on
that
to
be
next
a-
generation,
something that's not handled by a game per se, but by some sort of online service that they can easily update servers, update code, so that way you can easily transfer stuff to it and then transfer it to a new game.
Well, I would just assume that they would for any Pokemon that are definitely they have the sprites for and stuff like that in the next generation. That would make sense because obviously they're not going to go all the way back to Gen 1 and be like, "Hey, let's throw some of these Pokemon that you've had in the bank for a while." No, maybe I'm thinking back when they cut off Black and White from the Pokemon transporter or bank or whatever back a few years ago. Maybe that's what I'm confusing it with. Either way, if Tyranitar became big, you got Godzilla as a Pokemon. True, that's actually pretty cool. He's definitely modeled after Godzilla. But back to Endgame. Sorry, that was definitely an interesting point you brought up there, Jimmy. Unfortunately, I don't have any Pokemon to transfer anymore because I got rid of my games years ago. At this point, so collectively here, favorite in-game moment or moments. Let's say top 2 or 3.
Captain America getting Mjolnir.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty up
the
there.
worthy Cap moment, I think, was like because we all saw Mjolnir move or get picked up, and we're like, wait, what? And then
Yeah.
it nails Thanos and then goes flying away. You're like, what the hell? And like, I think even personally, I was thinking, wait, did past Thor somehow come back? like just for a second, like, wait, they didn't bring.
What they kind of like glossed over though is that when he becomes worthy, he has Thor's power.
Yes, that's why he could throw lightning and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, not even that. Not just that, but he's that strong now, and he's that durable. Like he takes a full hit from Thanos and gets up.
Dude, he beats the hell out of Thanos for a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
by himself.
Well, technically, I think he could have gone toe to toe with Thanos. He really could have.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was just so much going on, but really, he was strong enough and driven enough that I think he would have gone toe to toe with Thanos.
The way he was seamlessly using the hammer and the shield to attack him was amazing. where he threw, what is it? He threw the shield behind him and then hit it with Mjolnir and it knocked him forward. And then he punched him again. It's just like, holy shit, dude. It was like Thor wasn't doing this.
Well, even Tony with his armor in Infinity War, if Thanos had no gems,
If he had no stones, he would have beat him.
yeah, like even Tony could have given him a run for his money. So worthy Cap with no stones, I think he would have.
Well, when we go back to Infinity War, whenever he actually held Thanos back for a second, he was actually But they were,
I can do this all day moment.
Kind of, but I think the Russos even confirmed that the person, like anybody wielding or even touching the gauntlet, can have their will impressed upon it. So realistically, because he was holding the gauntlet hand, he had some of the power of the Infinity Stones. That's why he was able to hold Thanos back.
Do you think he was killed there?
What do you mean?
Well, hit him when he hit him before he turned back time. Do you think he killed him there?
No. I don't think he did, because he hit him while he was still holding the gauntlet.
Because that was a theory. That was a theory I heard where they were like, he actually had killed Cap with that hit.
No,
put him in pretty much.
I think he knocked the shit out of him.
I did. I mean, but technically, I guess it's possible if he was that strong.
Yeah. So you got to think, if Cap had a little bit of some infinity power in him because he was contacting the gauntlet, that's why he hit him with his bare hand. Because if at any point you're hitting somebody with that gauntlet, for that instant at least, they're powered by the gauntlet. Like the power just goes to anybody who's contacting it. So I think that's one reason why when Spider-Man and Tony were managing to pull it off of him, like nobody else could just yoink it off under normal circumstances. That's why Clokey probably couldn't pull it off, because it's not really a real organism. So anybody touching it is sort of getting a boost, but Cap was touching it almost perfect where they weren't.
Yeah.
But Thanos proved in Endgame that without any Infinity Stones, he is insanely powerful and dangerous. So he took down Cap with the power of Thor without having Infinity Stones.
One thing I will say that bothers me though is the whole like Hulk being hurt by the snap, only because that's pretty far removed from the comic, because the Hulk could easily wield the glove. His power is like it's constant.
He has he has a regeneration factor anyways.
Yeah.
Which is something we have not seen in the movies.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, and I don't know, maybe it's because of the whole him being merged with Banner now, like it's Smart Banner. Like
so he's imperfect Hulk, is what you're saying?
Maybe, because I mean, even in the movies, like Hulk is strong enough. He is. His power just grows. That's all it does.
The more angry he is, yeah.
Yeah.
So in literally the hands of Banner Hulk, he wasn't resilient enough to resist.
Maybe.
I think in the future, with given time, he'll be able to regenerate.
Yeah.
But we saw what happened to Thanos after 2 snaps. Because I think a lot of people miss, if you go back and watch the end of Infinity War when he goes, or like post snap, before he
was burnt up
before he gets away from Thor. He's burnt up. His arm is burnt.
Yeah.
The gauntlet is crispy. Yeah, and then he does it again, which was such a massive cop out. But that was the whole fuel for the rest of the movie. By the way, I'm gonna bring something up. And I brought this up to other people. I might have brought it up in the Plastic Cannibals chat, but I put it on Twitter. They had the ability to track down Thanos way before they did, and for some reason they forgot they could do it. Because Thor has the Bifrost, so he can find anyone anywhere and teleport to them and bring anybody he needs to with him. But But they didn't even use it once in the entire movie.
At all.
But does he have Heimdall's vision also, or is
He
it just
he would
the
have
ability
to.
use?
He had to because he wouldn't have been able to find Wakanda.
Well, no, because he like on. I think he can go on Earth anywhere.
But the thing is, he didn't know where the Avengers were. He didn't even know they were in the middle of a battle. He didn't even know that Wakanda existed. But he teleported directly into the metal battle in the middle of a city that's usually cloaked, actually that had a shield up at the time. So there's no way for him to have even known where the hell he was going.
There were Guardians there. So Rocket.
It doesn't matter. Rocket didn't even know where anybody was either.
But didn't he? Well, but yeah, but there were Guardians there, so couldn't he have?
No, the Guardians weren't on Earth. The Guardians were on Titan.
Oh, that's right, they were. They're all on
Yeah,
Titan.
they
So
were
there's
all
no
on
way-
Titan. There was no connective tissue between Middledelia, or however the hell you say that, and Earth. There was no way for him to know where to go except if he had the power to see. If you have the Bifrost, it's useless if you don't have the power to see. Even Odin, who could use the Bifrost, could see anywhere he needed to and do that.
Well,
and-
all they say is all the what Peter Dinklage says, all that you can summon the Bifrost. That's
Yeah.
all he says.
But
But that doesn't.
but,
didn't.
but without the power of sight, the Bifrost is kind of useless. You're just literally throwing a tunnel in the dark and hoping you hit where you're supposed to go. He would just be like, Earth. Like something had to pinpoint where he could go. It had the ability to find someone somewhere.
I don't disagree with you. Again, it's like it's awesome because we can look back and sort of like nitpick all these things. Like they should have done this.
But like
there are definitely, yeah.
that was my nitpick as soon as I left the theater. Like this wasn't looking back. That was like literally the movie's over, a wave of emotions from the end of it, and then I was
Well,
thinking, go ahead.
My nip from Infinity War was Doctor Strange could have just cut Thanos' arm off.
Yes, that's the most annoying part is that he could have just sling ring cut the arm off. Yeah.
He could have done that, or he could have stopped time. He literally could have stopped time.
Yeah, I think he was more scared to use the stone at all. That's why he was hiding it.
Folks, I
Yeah.
hate to do this, but I gotta go, so I'll see you guys later.
Have a good one, man.
Bye, Thomas.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, some people have to work in the morning, I guess.
Yeah.
It's all good though. See
Yeah.
you later, buddy. But I think they honestly just because they were shooting these movies concurrently, I think they didn't have it written in there about anything about the Bifrost because it still would have been useful. Even if they didn't track down Thanos, knowing where he was, they could have just Bifrosted there instead of flying. They flew there in a spaceship. Yeah, they flew there in the Benatar. Even Captain Marvel flew there with her Nova powers. It's like Bifrost. You know where it is. You can literally just go zoop, and you're there, and you have the instant drop directly into his toilet. You know.
Well, don't get me started on Captain Marvel's role like that.
I'm not gonna lie. The fact that they had her out of the movie the whole time was stupid, but I liked what she did when she was in the movie.
Well, she was OP. She's just like
They had to keep her out for that reason. She was too powerful.
yeah, because she could have literally gone in. She could have gone in the past, gotten all the stones, and just been like whatever. Like, you know,
Well, even like
she could have just stepped in and killed Thanos at any time, or I don't, you know, and just
Without the stone, she probably could have. Yeah.
well, I mean, her whole scene where she shows back up and comes back in and then meets up with Peter for the assist. I'm like, why didn't they just have her put the gauntlet on and do the snap? She'd be able to survive it, and she'd be able to do whatever with it. You know what I mean? So
In theory,
Becca,
she could have survived it. I mean, she is like stupid powerful, and in fact, empowered by one of the stones. But I don't know. I think the main reason why is because Endgame was shot before her movie, so they didn't know what her power set would be, except for being powerful. So I think they didn't know what to do with her just yet.
yeah. They were going back and forth on whether or not it was going to be like Warbird, or was it going to be binary, or it was going to be regular Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
Or
I said Nova. I'm an idiot. yeah. Binary. I always get that. No, yeah, you're right. They didn't know what. Yeah, and she didn't know. Like, she's shooting scenes in game, and they haven't even done her movie yet. She's acting without anybody else to a green screen for her parts. Like, that would be like the most awkward thing ever. Like, up until they did like some of the main scenes with her, like actually with other people.
Yeah, and
but-
I think that's why I like her acting in it. I think I don't like her as Captain Marvel, and I'm thinking that maybe because of the way they had to set everything up for her, I just don't. She comes off. She just doesn't. She comes off as not Carol Danvers. Like, because I read the comics. I was the comic reader for Avengers first. So watching the movies, I can't help but compare it to the comics.
No, I get that. It's just, I think the main reason she comes off as flat and like not knowing anything is because literally she wasn't given anything to do, and she was brand new into the character and hadn't even done her own movie with a backstory or anything when she was shooting Endgame. So it was like she was at I didn't mind Captain Marvel. I thought it was a decent movie. I think that whoever was directing it really wasn't that great at it, but the good actors saved it. She's not a great actress, and she wasn't given a good enough direction to fix the mistakes of that movie.
Yeah, I think they rushed it. I think it was placed wrong. I think it's one of the few missteps. Like, it's not horrible at all, but it's just. I think it was just a somewhat kind of just mismanaged piece of the MCU. But
it was a filler movie thrown in for effect because the later movie had the character.
yeah,
But she's
So-
I think she'll get better in the role. Given time and a decent director, I think she'll be good in the role.
Yeah, I think a lot of people's big question out there after the movie was out
You're
was, do people prefer Endgame over Infinity War, or how do they rank that movie? And to me, I don't know. I don't really see Endgame and Infinity War as anything but Act 1 and Act 2 of a movie. Because both of those movies, I think you could watch them individually and get a little bit out of it. But if my mom or my dad were to watch it and they have no idea about any of these characters, they get zero out of it. They would be like, this doesn't make any sense. But the fact that if you've invested X amount of years, 10 years to 11, I don't know, is it 11 years now?
Yeah, 11 years.
Then that movie, well, both of those movies together make it, to me, one of the best movies in the Marvel Cinematic universe, because it has the whole, I think a lot of people, myself included, wanted to see that end battle with the core Avenger cast. And I was sad. I understand why they did it, but not having Black Widow there and having Hulk basically nerfed by using the snap, so he's not in the final battle with Thanos, and then having Hawkeye with the gauntlet, but not in the battle, just kind of trying to get it out of there. I was a little disappointed that it was only just the big three, but at the same time, it was a pretty sweet battle scene.
Well,
I would have loved to have seen Thor in there with the Hulk, seeing as how they, were buddy on the last
Avengers.
Thor movie.
So
it would have been awesome to see them do that. But
well, the main reason they did the big three was because they were the original three. Iron Man kicked it off, then we got Cap, and then Thor. So, I mean, they were the first three independent movies without the Avengers. Actually, they're the only ones who had independent movies without the Avengers.
I don't know. The Hulk came right after the second Iron Man. Was it the first time? It was Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, then the Hulk.
Well, that Hulk
with,
movie was post Iron Man 1, but I don't consider it because it's not this Hulk. That's the only reason I don't argue that that's part of the MCU.
Because it was Ed Norton.
It's the Ed Norton version is technically part of the MCU because it's got Thunderbolt Ross and Tony Stark, but it's just to me it doesn't fit in only because it's a different actor completely. But in this case, it was the original three that started the MCU as a whole, and that have been holding it together outside of outside of the Avengers movies. I think that's the main reason they were there. They were meant to be the stars, and they're the most powerful at the moment. So, but I do think that we lost the original point of biggest scenes. We were just stuck in the battle scene. But like Fat Thor,
I have to go. I do
Fat
need
Thor made it. I love Fat Thor.
Lebowski.
The dude.
Thor bro.
Thor bro.
Yeah. Who is it? What's the theory about who he? Oh, the theory that he's yelling at Deadpool. Deadpool is the one on the other end of Fortnite that he's yelling at.
What's his name? Lady Killer, or no? What was his name? It was
I don't.
420.
Yeah.
Cool guy 420.
Something like that. Yeah, there's a theory that that's actually Deadpool is who he's yelling at, not
be
some
awesome.
kid. I love the fact that they brought back Korg and Meek for that. They just glossed over the fact that all of those people from Asgard were still alive somewhere. Although we know it was technically the other half of the ship that was kind of floating off screen from beginning of Infinity War. But they're like, hey, look, everybody you were wondering about is here, and they're fine, sort of, except for Thor, who just drinks constantly. But the fact that they got Korg and Meek playing fucking Fortnite in Hawaiian shirts, that was epic, honestly. I love Taika Waititi as Korg. He's hilarious.
Yeah, that was probably the funniest part, I think, of the movie. The perfect amount of funny in that was Korg. Thank you. Just play.
Yes.
He's back. Yes, thank you.
Noob Master 19 apparently was the name, according to Jimmy, who's the only person still watching other than Art. But no, I thought it was funny that they go to New Asgard, which is not where it is in the comics, where it's like the floating city over Kansas or whatever.
Oklahoma.
But, Oklahoma, yeah, somewhere. I always thought it was Kansas for some reason. Same difference. But and then that was actually Asgardia at one point in the comics too.
It's supposed to be where Odin went.
Yes, I thought it was Scotland is where they were talking about originally, but it's not. It is where Odin was in Thor Ragnarok. I didn't catch that the first go around. It's the same city.
Yeah.
But no, God, there was a lot in this movie. Like thinking back on it, like it didn't seem, like we said earlier, it didn't seem like a 3-hour movie. And you think back on it, you're like, Jesus, okay, we had this part, and then we had this part, and then we had to, 5 years later, we got to recover everybody. Nat trying to hold the team together.
I mean, there were a lot of good scenes. I don't think I can really do, like, you can pinpoint scenes. For me, it was more about the culmination of the story lines for each of the characters. Like, seeing how at the end of Infinity War, where everybody was at. So, like, Captain America was still basically being Captain America, helping people just in a different way, what I loved about that was sort of like a throwback to when he first met Sam Wilson at the VA clinic, and he saw him helping people, even though he wasn't actively in the military, he was still doing good. And I think that sort of rubbed off on him. So then you flash forward to him in Endgame, and he's basically still helping people just in a different way. And
running
I love
a support group, and the fact that it was
Russo.
Anthony Russo in there, and I completely missed that he was talking about the death of his husband in there.
Yeah.
I totally went over my head that he was talking about that he was gay.
Yep.
Not the character, at least, not actually Anthony, but
They went out on a date, and how far did you get before you started crying?
Yeah, it completely went over my head in the moment, but dude, I think a lot of people were like shocked at the 5 years later. Like, it was the 5. And you're like, months? Years. Jesus! Like, we're like, okay, now we've jumped ahead. We were thinking we were roughly in our own timeline here, like, almost. And then they jumped.
What I respected about it, too, was then think about, in that 5 years, think about the body count Cliff Barton had.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. Dude, well, it depends on when he started being Ronin.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been almost immediately within the first year, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, he's out there being Batman, or actually he's being Arrow. Realistically, let's just be honest. My thoughts, like the second I knew I knew the character, I knew what he was doing. I'm like, but in the moment when he's kicking all the Yakuza ass, I'm like, this is Arrow. Like he's just not actually shooting a bow. He's just slicing up some motherfuckers. Then the showdown with the other guy, that was great.
Again, that's like, I think that's where you're getting at, Paul, is that their story plot, his particular one where he was dealing with the fallout because probably he was thinking, I wasn't there to help the Avengers, and he feels bad that he wasn't there to stop evil. So now that he's got nothing left to lose, he's just gonna stop evil, and he's just gonna become the bad guy and do whatever it takes. And,
I think the guy he killed too was like Hand. I think he was a member of the
Really?
Hand. Yeah,
I don't think they
awesome.
said that out loud, but it's possible.
Did they say his name?
They say his name, and he's like I think he's an obscure member of the Hand. And like
That's awesome.
You guys have seen the meme, right, about the look where it's got Doctor Strange. Okay, did we get everybody? And then it shows the Defenders down there. Hey, where's that? Where's that wizard? Did you see my reply comment?
Yeah.
It's like they got dusted so hard, even the Infinity Stones couldn't bring them back, except for Jessica Jones for another 10 episodes.
That we don't need.
Well, I'm okay with it. Any excuse to just look at Kristen Ritter for a while. But
I think
that's probably that's one of my least favorite shows. So.
Well, just going into it, technically, doesn't Trish get powers in this season? Isn't that where they left off at the end of last season?
I
think they gave her powers. I think she gave herself powers.
I'm of the mindset of what's the point? I mean, we already know that they've canceled everything.
Yeah.
Just to get it out there.
They don't consider it part of the MCU, so that I think that really drowned out a lot of people's like excitement about the whole series. So.
It's supposed to be part of the MCU. Like they reference
the movies.
They reference New York.
Yeah, but if you think about it now, they if
did you take an name?
The Spider-Man trailers are leading us to believe that there's these multi-universe type of things going on, then that may not be part of the main MCU universe.
Silly.
So,
really, I guess according to people who like worked on it all, so Kevin Feige, who obviously does the movies, him and the guy who does the TV shows, Perlmutter.
Yeah,
they hate each other.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Perlmutter got booted out of the main chunk of Disney. That's why.
Yep. He basically, Feige hates him too. So he was like, "What I make? I'm not gonna reference it. I'm not gonna make it part of anything."
But what I find funny is that they're slightly contractually obligated to have it MCU adjacent, so they can reference the movies, but the movies can't reference them. But it's the same thing with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think Perlmutter is technically over Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. Mm-hmm. It's a TV division. But that still directly, used to at least directly tie into the movies now that they're in a completely different time zone. I don't know how that works. I'm a couple seasons behind on S.H.I.E.L.D., but last time I left off, they were in the future. Spoilers. But
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So maybe they missed everything and they get to come back and see what the hell happened. They had a completely different cataclysm in that show than the snap happening. Snapping, sorry. But either way, I just love the meme because that's hilarious. But let's see. Let's go one more other in-game moment that we can talk about real quick and then we'll move on.
Well, how about who'd have thunk that a rat would have been the true hero of the movie?
I was going to bring that up. The rat to save the universe. Anybody else just kind of hope that rat is it's something else more important than just some rat? Like there was it's like a shapeshifter or something like that who was purposely.
Yeah, it would be kind of sad if it was just a regular old sewer rat.
Well, we're led to believe that the Ninja Turtles were based off of the ooze canister that gave Daredevil his powers. Maybe that's Master Splinter.
Oh, there we go.
But that's San Francisco. That's not New York.
Well, you never know. I mean,
It's the same ooze. Well, no, it's just a quantum powered rat. He's just been hanging out near the van a little too long.
yeah. I mean,
And-
that was one of those part in that movie that's just like, oh, well, that was convenient sort of thing compared to some other stuff. But
Yeah,
you know,
that's one of the
overall-
biggest Deus Ex Machinas ever.
yeah,
But it wasn't forced by anything. It's kind of a reality. Like, yeah, storage unit, there'd be a rat. Somebody didn't roll up a window on the van. A rat crawled across the damn dashboard and clicked the one button that was necessary. Given that somebody would have had to pack all that equipment away. I love that nobody thought like, oh hey, here's a van full of weird shit.
Yeah.
But somebody had the forethought to make sure that it said that it belonged to Scott, like because that was on the locker or whatever you want to call it, the storage locker.
Yeah.
Yeah, it said S. Lang. So whoever did that, because the van wasn't registered to Scott, that was registered to what's his face?
Well, did he get snapped away though?
Yeah, he did,
His
but
buddy?
yeah, his buddy got snapped away. Well, we assume.
we don't know.
We assume
don't
that he did because he
We don't-
wasn't. He would because he wasn't in. Because you best believe they would have had him in Endgame explaining how Scott got there.
I
in
would have
in the flashbacks.
I would have liked better 5 years later. His daughter finds it.
Yeah, his daughter, who's definitely aged more than 5 years.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
hey,
she's like
she's
20.
She aged so quickly. She's not even the same actress.
No.
But I mean, like, okay. The only problem I really have with Endgame, if I'm going to complain, is there's no sense of time once they get started with the quantum tunneling project. Like, you don't know how much time happens from the time Ant-Man shows up to when they
But
finally start time traveling.
The same argument though could be made of like when Tony builds things. Like how long does it take?
No,
him
that's
to
what. Yeah, well, in some cases they give you like that was a couple weeks ago or whatever, or you see somebody who's like grown their beard out a little bit, like they've just been stressed out. They've been definitely working on stuff for a while. Like they had the time to. Ant-Man drove to New York from San Francisco, which that's a quick drive. Went to the Avengers, told them about the time travel idea.
Went to Banner.
They went to they went to Tony, then to Banner, right?
Yeah, Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they went to Tony, then they went to Banner, and then Tony. They start, and then Tony shows up after figuring it out the next night, apparently. Because Tony is a genius. Let's just be honest. He's probably at this point the smartest man on earth, but because Reed Richards
year?
does, huh?
Going into the 6th year.
Yeah, exactly. Because it had to have been at least a couple months. Because I mean, I know the Avengers have the Stark rapid building tech. They have to. So there is that, but I'm assuming he lived in like upstate New York or somewhere like that. I don't think they ever said where his cabin was. But it definitely wasn't super far away if he drove there in his e-tron. But he shows up ready with the quantum tech and has everything else laid out, like the quantum suits, all this stuff. No, this is how it's going to work, after they age and de-age Ant-Man a few times, which is hilarious. Somebody pooped my pants again. It's like I don't know if it was old me or young me.
Or Mimi.
Or Mimi. That was so awesome. Paul Rudd is a treasure. I'm sorry. They picked the perfect person to play Scott Lang.
Yeah.
Though now that everybody is back, damn, no, we don't have Tony anymore. Like they need to have Hank Pym interact more in the main Avengers now that he's like one of the smarter men on the planet. Until Reed Richards.
I don't think there's going to be an Avengers, like a strict Avengers movie, until after they introduce Fantastic Four.
And until they have more characters, like realistically again. Yeah. Well, I mean, we only said goodbye to 2. 3.
Well, I just don't. I think what's going to happen is it's going to be more focused on extending Captain Marvel, extending Spider-Man, extending like individual stories, and I think there's going to be like more so like a Civil War type situation where it's going to be like someone's movie, but it's going to be like a lot of characters are in it.
Yeah,
But
so it'll be
and
smaller
event-
ensemble movies is what you're thinking.
Yeah, I don't even know if it'll be to the extent of Civil War. It'll be, I think it's going to be closer to Thor Ragnarok, where it's just one, maybe one other
Little
person.
crossovers, yeah.
Mhm.
So
yeah, it's going to be less about giant, big. It's going to be more about like little pieces of free.
So we have
So
to
that-
get
I guess-
we have to get some individual. We got to get new Avengers movies out there. But we now know. Well, Cap. I'm sorry, Cap. Well, yeah, technically Cap now. Falcon and Bucky have their Disney series coming up, which is tied directly into the movie universe. Black
There's a
Widow.
lot.
The Black Widow movie that's set in the past. That's not necessarily about Natasha, because they haven't even started that movie at all. Yeah, because the thing is like she's a Black Widow. She's not the. Like that was, that's their like female spies. They're all Black Widows. Because we even see one. There was one in Agent Carter, in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we know that organization existed as a chunk of Hydra, more or less. Which, by the way, it is still a shame that they canceled Agent Carter. That was actually a pretty decent show.
Yeah,
and
it was probably the one that I watched the most, even over like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when it was out. It was the one that I felt had the strongest legs.
It had heart.
Yeah,
but
they've done so much with it because the early years of S.H.I.E.L.D. encountered so many like threats in the past they could have had, callbacks to real early Defenders, not the Netflix Defenders, but like the
non-superpowered heroes who were doing things.
Yeah, and so that's why they could have done so much more with it. They could have had more Howard Starks.
I was waiting for Arnim Zola to be a main part of the story arc where it shows him defecting to.
They should have.
But then,
he was in there. Yeah, he should have been part of that.
Turning into the robot version of himself. I don't know. I was disappointed. It wouldn't surprise me if they were eventually going to lead to that. But I think Endgame. My biggest gripe with it is that it kind of felt, in a sense, like the second Avengers movie, Age of Ultron, where a lot of that was just set up for things to come. They did a lot of tying up loose ends that made people happy, but there was a lot of setup, and it was a lot of setup for all of this MCU streaming, Disney streaming service stuff that they got going on. So like the Loki thing, the Cap, the whole, which I'm really excited about, the Winter Soldier Bucky series. One, because
the Falcon Winter Soldier series,
the Falcon, because that's what I meant. Thank you. Mainly because I would love to see both of them carry the shield, and the fact that I like that Sam Wilson, when he gets the shield from Cap at the end of the movie, is sort of like he's not sure, and Bucky's sort of like reassuring him. I would love to see the TV series play more on the fact that maybe Falcon doesn't feel like he's ready, and it should go to Bucky, and Bucky's like, look, he's always been like the right-hand man to Captain America, and I feel like that's a good spot for him. But at the same time, I would love to see him wield the shield for a while and then realize it's not for him. Falcon take it over, but then Falcon becomes the new Captain America if they eventually do a Captain America movie. And I would love to see Bucky be like U.S. agent. So he's not really Captain America, but he can still wield the shield, do like a whole black cap costume
the black suit
type of look.
Well, the fact they teased it in Winter Soldier when he caught the shield and was holding it, and you're like, oh shit! Like, it's like they went there, and then that's all we get. I mean, like, obviously they're gonna give it to Sam first, but one thing that sucks is the quote unquote loss of Chris Evans, because I would love to see him stay on as old Cap.
I wouldn't count that out, man. I think giving time that, since they're not going to do a Captain America movie for at least 5 years, right? Because they'll have the TV series, and if the TV series of Falcon Bucky does well, or Winter Soldier, or whatever they're calling him. That'll go for at least 2-3 seasons. We're hoping, right? So
That's probably
by
what
the
they
end
paid
of
for.
that, there will be sort of like a definitive captain at that point.
Well,
Move
also,
into
Chris
a
Evans,
captain.
Chris Evans has also been kind of like about it, but like I think he
Let's
just
see.
I think he needs to be just away from
Exactly. That's
doing
what
it.
I'm saying.
Give it 3 or 4 years.
Right.
He'll come back.
And then
Robert Downey Jr., it's a different thing because he commands way too much money.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, they can be like, look, we just need you to come in, shoot one day. We'll write you a check for a cool $2 million. You know, you come in, say a couple lines. Well,
Yeah,
you
he doesn't
even
have to do whole
a-
movies. He could just come in to be inspirational, or maybe
Yeah.
he takes over command of the new Shield basically, and he's just off to the side after living his God knows how many years, 75 years, extra, in a
because they
timeline
show
that-
him. They make him sitting down looking like he's old and frail, but he's still like, how awesome would it be to see an old frail man still like kick ass and take names better than most young soldiers, because he still has that serum in his body, and it just
Well, presumably, and this is one thing they've sort of alluded to. It's not like the comics where he had the serum removed from him and then he's suddenly aged to catch up. This is like he's finally at the age he should be, kind of, because he lived the last 70 some odd years somewhere. Because there's a lot of problems with that whole explanation. Excuse me. But it's like the whole reason that he was still young and awesome is because he was frozen.
Yeah.
So he missed 70 years of life because it's frozen. So he's still young, but then he actually got to live 70 years throughout. So the super soldier serum probably wore off, but we now know he has kids.
Yeah.
So it's in theory there are some super soldiers out there.
Yeah.
I think
I
think they won't come back until like later Avengers movies, or even maybe X-Men or Fantastic Four, where maybe they'll allude to them because they'll be super powered normal people out of nowhere.
I don't think that there's gonna be. I think somebody, I don't remember who said it. I don't think there's gonna be an Avengers team up movie for a while. And if it's anything,
well, that's why I said later, like way
way
down the line.
It would be if they don't do new Avengers, like if Clint Barton doesn't come back and sort of be a mentor to somebody, his kids or the team leader or whatever for a while. If they don't pull together that, then I would love to see an East Coast, West Coast Avengers where Falcon could be East Coast, Bucky could be the Captain America of the West Coast or whatever, and then eventually have the two teams kind of meet up, or have all three, have the young, the new Avengers, East Coast, West Coast Avengers. I mean, they're going to have a roster full of people that they could literally pull that off. So
yeah, once it finally starts expanding and they can play with a lot more new characters, they could definitely do that because, well, I mean, you've got Ant-Man on the West Coast, so that's easy for extra boost points there. Hulk is kind of wherever he needs to be.
Well, see, that's the thing with Hulk. I would love to see the other versions of Hulk. I mean, they have the Smart Hulk, which, again, going back to the Endgame movie, I can understand why they didn't want him in the battle because he's Professor Hulk. He's not the Savage Hulk who trained and was like warrior bound in Planet Hulk, basically on Thor Ragnarok. He's just smart. He's Bruce Banner with super strength, so he doesn't have the fighting skills and everything. So he would have got his butt handed to him against Thanos, even if he tried. So it's completely different.
I think he does have some of the skills, and he's not. It's not like he's weak. He's like just like early days Hulk, strong.
With his nerfed arm, he would have got.
Oh, nerfed
you know
arm,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like, yeah, there's no way. I can understand why they probably. I still would have loved to seen him fight the what's his name, Korg or whatever the other guy. No, the Thanos' big brute. I can't think of his name.
Cole Obsidian.
Cole.
Yeah.
Obsidian.
I would have loved to have seen that.
Here's a big CG fight coming.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Has nobody cut?
The reason why they didn't have him in the battle is because of budgetary reasons. They used all the budget for Hulk in his normal scenes
on Thanos. Has nobody cut that Deadpool cut line into Endgame's final battles? Big CG fight coming up. Because that's all it is. 90% of actually no, like 100% of the characters on the bad guys are CG. 100%.
That's hilarious. Yeah,
Think about
you're
it.
right,
100% of them are CG. So the only two who were on the bad guy side are actual actresses, and they went to the good guy side.
Yeah.
So, well, technically, the one died. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, old Nebula.
Sorry, going back to what I was saying before, the Hulk. I would love to see the Red Hulk show up, and I don't want it to be General Ross. I would love it to be Everett Ross, the one on Black Panther. What's his name?
Oh, that would be weird. You're gonna have Bilbo Baggins turn
Yeah.
into the Hulk.
Well, how awesome! Because then he could get his mustache back, right? He can sport the mustache from Sherlock Holmes that he got so much crap for.
No.
And
you mean from the quote unquote Christmas episode that was set in the past?
Yeah.
Great episode of Sherlock, by the way.
I would love to see him play a bigger role, and then we could see him and Doctor Strange.
Well, Everett Ross is going to be in the Black Panther movie with Namor.
Yeah, that'll be. See, that's another. I would love to see him. I would love.
Well,
have they cast that yet?
No,
They teased Namor. There was an earthquake.
No, they said the Russos actually said that had nothing to do with Namor. That was just a thing.
Yeah, that's the thing that
they've been very upfront with everything that's come out of Endgame. They said no, that had nothing to do with Namor. It'd be cool if it was, but it's not. Because the thing is, Namor's a mutant, and they aren't doing mutant just yet. They're getting there.
Well,
they
don't have to explain mutant. They don't have to say that.
Yeah, but the fact that he is a mutant would give him whatever. He just calling him an enhanced human or whatever, another secret society of Atlanteans or whatever the fuck. I think that they need to bring him in on the mutant side. I think it's what they should do. And then give him his own main movie, and then bring in the X-Men in a couple of years once dust has settled. Well, the X-Men are coming. You can't.
If they introduce Namor, he'd be the perfect segue into the Fantastic Four. I think he would be.
Yeah.
Like.
I don't want them to bring in all the X-Men first. I want them to bring in just one, and I think Professor Xavier should just be the one.
Well, I think they just need to bring in mutants, and then bring in the mutants for start establishing these things. Wait, who are these? These are not Inhumans. We know what Inhumans are. What are these powered people? Yeah. They need to establish that, and then the X-Men get formed, because from what it seems, it may not be a multiverse deal. Because as far as we know, nobody from previous X-Men movies outside of Deadpool is going to have any MCU contact. So in theory, we're going to get brand new versions of the X-Men in the MCU.
Well, that's
in theory.
They did say that Deadpool is going to come in.
Yes. Deadpool will be, and he might be the way they get there. But I don't even think the Deadpool verse X-Men are going to be. That would be cool, except for it's technically the first class X-Men in that universe, as we saw in Deadpool 2, but maybe Deadpool falls through Universal again. We don't know how they're all gonna tie in the Fox properties yet, but it is what it is.
Let me ask you, do you guys think they're going to when let's say when they finally do introduce the mutants, do you think that mutants will have been around for a while, or do you think it'll be because of the snap people are starting to mutate and have these abilities sort of thing and start fresh? So Professor X will be young, or Professor X will have been around and he's old Professor X?
Well, they're talking about doing the Eternals, and if they go the route of, because I don't know if you read the Eternals comics, but basically because that ties into Thanos.
Yes, he's part Eternal, part Titan.
Yeah, he's technically from Earth, which was like a reveal in the comics. Is that because the Celestials messed with human genomes, and there was different strains of humans, and there was the Eternals, which were godlike and they were beautiful. There's the Deviants, which what Thanos is. He's a deviant. And then there's humans, but then an offshoot of humans is mutants. And technically the Deviants are an offshoot of the Eternals. And so, but the Deviants and the Eternals were like they have huge lifespans, so that's why because Thanos is like 1,200 years old, and his family was sent to the planet or to the moon Titan. That's why he's a Titan, is because he actually was on the moon Titan.
Yeah.
And so
Depending on which
and at
Thanos
the time,
continuity you're looking at.
yeah,
The more
it's-
modern one, yeah.
Yeah. So if they wanted to, they could do the whole like. I honestly think they should have it be the mutants came from the Celestials. Celestials mess with humans.
So,
And
so in a
it ties
way,
to
Star-Lord was a mutant.
well, technically, well, no, it's because he's celestial is what they made him be.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He's
He's half celestial. He's not well, maybe not created by Celestials, but he's half celestial, half human. So
He's actually he's supposed to be half of their race.
Yeah. Okay.
The Celestials were scientists. They're just giant scientists, and everything's a petri dish for them.
I think they'll tie it to the snap though, because like somebody mentioned, I think I mentioned it to you guys in the chat, that the Infinity Gauntlet was snapped on Earth 3 times in 5 years. That's an enormous amount of gamma radiation released on the planet, and we know gamma radiation mutates people because we've seen one very large exception, you know, and that was a direct exposure. But I'm thinking either people who come back from the snap have the ability to become mutants, or maybe even women who are pregnant during the snap and weren't, dusted. Maybe they absorbed some of that radiation and their children become mutants. I think the X gene will be tied into things that happened in the MCU.
Is there a possible? Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I'll say, is there a possibility with the WandaVision TV show that it'll be sort of a reverse House of M thing where she tries to use her reality bending, bring Vision back, and then all of a sudden she causes.
I was thinking that, to be honest. I actually thought that's where they were going to go until they dusted her. Like, I thought maybe that's what happened. And eventually, when she gets to the part where she is powerful enough to warp reality, I think that they could do that, but I don't even know how they're going to do the WandaVision show, because that makes no sense.
I don't either.
Well, maybe how about before the 5 years passes, the first snap, just the first snap, unlocked the X gene and whoever, and
like
then
whoever's around, yeah.
And so 5 years passes, and then however much time after that passes, and now you have these, like they've been living with their powers, but maybe hiding them. Xavier, might have got during he was the first one maybe during that time. And
do you think that they would give him? Do you think that they would like make it for existing humans are mutated, or people are born new in that time period that now have the X gene?
I think it has to be existing. Like maybe it's a bunch of maybe Xavier was like early 20s at the time,
or teenager when it normally would kick in.
Yeah, maybe or maybe he was like 18, 19. He's in college and it hits him. And so then when the 5, 6 years, 7 years down the road, he could be done with college, and then he's now like kids who were younger than him. He's gathering them.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he encounters Doctor Strange or someone else who's like, I think you need to deal with this. Like, I think you have what it takes to deal with this. Because something's gonna have to, maybe him and Magneto both are the ones that like someone tasks them, and then that's where the split happens between them.
Yeah, I could see them doing something along those lines.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult because Magneto's storyline is tied.
If
World
they go
War
with
II, so it's like
Auschwitz.
It's hard to like do a modern version of that. I don't know. Maybe people can accept it now, but the hardcore fans, I think, would have a hard time dealing with his history, his backstory, unless it somehow played out in a similar fashion. I mean, the beauty of the way they have things set up, especially with, let's just say, if it plays out the way they're leading us to believe for the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, where there is multiple universes, maybe they somehow start colliding, and mutants from a different universe are all of a sudden becoming part of this universe, and they could have existed since the 60s or whatever.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there with the Far From Home. Thinking that maybe if there is such thing as a multiverse and Mysterio's not just bullshitting us, which I think everybody kind of has a consensus is he's lying about everything. But if he really is from an alternate Earth, then I believe that could be a possibility. That maybe the snap really did rip holes in reality, which it could totally do, especially in the hands of somebody with two somebodies who are not trained in how to use it in any way, shape, or form. You know, like, oops, we broke some stuff. But I mean, what if he accidentally brought back people who didn't, or maybe he snagged people from another universe? Maybe that's how mutants come about. Yeah, they are from another universe, but the snap brought them there. Like, it's like, oops, we weren't supposed to. Or an alternate universe where we had the same people, but we brought them over instead of our versions. Like,
I think that's totally possible, but at the same time, I still believe that Mysterio is. I think Mysterio's his armor, everything. I think that's all Vulture technology. I think Vulture.
yeah, but he also has a little bit of seemingly like actual legit magic going on, like the wizards tend to use. Like maybe he has some knowledge.
Well, the thing is that there's so much technology that you don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
Or what it can do.
Oh, it's alien tech for sure of some sort.
I know. Yeah. My concern with that is that I was hoping that they were going to do something different than what they were planning with Sony before, where everything was like tech based. Remember when they introduced the Sinister Six? The guy showed that room, and everybody was just high tech versions, Octopus, you know, the Scorpion, all of that. Nobody had like mutant powers. Nobody had special abilities. It was just all derived from technology, which I thought was going to be okay for that universe. But with the MCU, and they've literally introduced magic and all this other stuff, there is technology, there is magic, there's different dimension type things with Doctor Strange. I would love to actually see that maybe he is a good guy. He starts out that way, but then gets jealous because, you know, whatever. Then he becomes the Mysterio that everybody.
Well, I'm hoping at least he's technology, because he is in the comics. It's he's not
straight up tech. Yeah.
Straight up tech. Same with Vulture. Vulture is straight up tech. He's like everything that he almost has his own super serum, I think, at one point.
Yeah, that keeps him young when he absorbs youth from other people. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's technology.
Yeah.
Same with Dr. Octopus. I want it to be tech. But when it comes to Rhino, you know, that's science too. But he's actually beefed up from science.
Yeah. He's on
Scorpion.
That's somebody.
Yeah. But I do want him to go that direction. However, I do want a super powered, like, I don't want Hydro Man to be like just an illusion, or Bolton Man to be an illusion. I want them to actually be like super powered beings,
like the actual like elementals.
Yeah, like I want them to be like super powered beings, you know. But we'll see how it plays out.
I mean, it could be guys with tech and illusions.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in terms of, because you see at the end of Homecoming, you see, was it Scorpion? Scorpion goes to Vulture.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes me think like, and you saw that everything that Vulture built, basically he just found technology. It was Stark and Chitauri.
Yeah, just whatever alien tech is on Earth. Yeah, for sure. And now they've got more. Well, now not post snap, no, because nothing was left behind. Oh well, post the first invasion. On Wakanda, yeah.
Well, you know, Wakandan too. So what was stolen from Wakanda, possibly, or like what was recovered from certain things. So that's why and also Doctor Strange. So you don't like now you've got Doctor Strange in there. So maybe he has something that he stole that's mystical too.
Yeah, I mean, he could literally
So-
have mystical tech. I mean, that's literally a thing he could. Now
Yeah.
we're like we're like really like jumping out deep end. You know what I still want, and I know that they very, very, very much glossed over Spider-Man's origin in the MCU, but we still don't. He never actually covered. I think he very roughly off screen mentioned he got bit by a spider to Ned, but we don't
Yeah.
know anything about it. We haven't actually seen that origin. We don't need to see it, but they haven't talked about the fact that essentially, he's not a normal enhanced person. He wasn't given his powers by an Infinity Stone. He wasn't given his powers by Chitauri Tech or what is it, Extremis, which was a big deal in Agents of Shield, post Iron Man 3. So he was bit by a mutated spider and it mutated him, but like we haven't talked about that. We haven't covered that. Like, so is there something special about Peter Parker that made him mutate the way he did? Because there are no in this part. There's no other spider people. I was before now knowing that we can have mutants in this universe. I was thinking that he had inhuman blood and that was his kicker.
Well, see, in the comics, and they've covered it in other in cartoons and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's one thing about Spider-Man is that Spider-Man is technically a mutant, but he's an unnatural mutant. That's why, because
he doesn't have an X gene. He's just mutated. Yeah.
Yeah, he was unnaturally mutated, and that's why several times he's actually had conversations with Professor X, where he's like, "How is it possible?" And Professor X and Mr. Fantastic too tell him, he's like, "You're not just a mutant; you're still mutating. You constantly mutate." That's why he becomes a spider at one point in the comics.
Yeah.
And he goes from web shooters to actually having web.
Yeah, like he did, just like he did in the cartoon as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he actually cocoons at one point and comes out as a spider, and it's weird. But I mean, his mutation goes out of control several times, and which also made him attractive to the symbiote, was because the symbiote constantly changes, and so he constantly changes.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of a perfect host for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why they even after being with Eddie Brock, it still
wants Peter Parker. Yeah.
It still wants Peter Parker.
Yeah. So it's not Eddie Brock or Flash Thompson did pretty good with Venom symbiote too, post being cleaned up a little bit, but after we went back to Clintar or whatever.
Yeah.
And got purified.
Yeah, I love Agent Venom, and I'm sad that there's no way we're ever going to get an Agent Venom with this version of Flash Thompson.
Yeah, not with this Flash Thompson. It will have to be another universe Flash Thompson.
Yeah.
I just thought about though, just because we all know that in most universes, the reason Venom is the way he is because he was picked up by Deadpool first, when he first came to Earth. How funny would it be if Deadpool 3 starts with him pulling black goo off of his suit and throwing it through a portal, go home, basically, and then that leads to Venom's introduction in the MCU later on down the line. I think that'd be hilarious.
Well, aren't they still going forward though? Isn't it still going forward with Tom Hardy?
I don't think the Venomverse is going forward anymore, is it? I thought they killed it.
It wouldn't surprise. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if he becomes the Agent Venom. He's kind of that type of person, right?
But he's not a soldier, though. That's the only thing. We need a soldier in the MCU that could do it. We don't really have anybody just yet. But who knows? Maybe it could be J. Jonah Jameson's son.
I
kind of don't.
J. Jonah Jameson.
If they're gonna do Venom, honestly, if they're going to do it, I really would rather it stay in Spider-Man movies, specifically just in Spider-Man, than moving into the MCU necessarily. He can exist in MCU, but I don't really want it.
I think you're right. Fringe movies, not It would be Spider-Man and Guardians probably get him out there into space.
I'd be okay with Guardians.
Yeah.
Be okay
Which
with
makes sense. We need to have a Groot Venom, or Venom Groot.
Yeah.
And honestly, having read the comics, down the line it'd be amazing if they could do Venomverse correctly.
Yeah.
But either
It
way,
would take Kevin Feige though. So
it would take
someone.
it would take the next Kevin Feige to pull that off. I don't think this Kevin Feige could do that too. But I think the thing is like he is the mastermind behind the MCU, and working side by side with Stan Lee and the other creators, and then picking basically the best directors he could for every movie. Even though you went, why would you use this guy? Why would you use James Gunn to do this silly space cowboy movie? And then it's fucking amazing. It's like he picked directors who may not have done these things before, outside of Joss Whedon, that is, and built an amazing, ginormous universe that never has been done before. And it's all Kevin Feige. That's the thing. And so, assuming he lives for the next 20 years and wants to keep being a millionaire, I don't see. It's like he has a love for the properties that other people don't. When it comes to these things, you can see it when you make these movies and they're crap. Like, you clearly didn't have the love for the source material, or give it to the people who could really make it good. That's why we have reshoots and shit like that. It's like, how many MCU reshoots do you hear about when they aren't due to the fact that they suddenly made a character relevant?
Well, I think his real strong suit is that he sort of developed the formula. Everybody calls the formula. There's everybody gets their solo movie, and then there's a big team up movie. Everybody gets a solo sequel, then there's a team up movie. I think he sort of had the foresight going into this, whatever their next phase is going to be, and realizing that's not going to work anymore. It's evolved to the point where that's why I'm really excited to see what the next slate of movies is going to be, because he had talked about they're not going to call it phases anymore. The next big step is it'll be game changing in the landscape of what they're calling the MCU. And in my mind, this is before they announced the whole Fox merger. I think in his mind, he knew that if they're putting a play on the Fox stuff, if that goes through, then they're going to have a whole list of characters at their disposal that they can introduce that isn't going to be just the Avengers. It could be the X-Men, the Fantastic Four. So like, he had the foresight, knowing, when did he announce this? Like, years ago, right? That the next phase was not going to be called a phase. It was just going to be the next whatever. Yeah. And it was going to be completely different. So seeing what they're going to announce, I mean, we all know that there's going to be another Black Panther sequel. There's going to be another Doctor Strange, another Ant-Man sequel,
Spider-Man,
Captain Marvel, Spider-Man. But aside from those, it's like everybody on pins and needles waiting to hear what's going to be beyond that. And I think everybody knows there's not going to be sort of a big galactic story arc that's going to be culminating. I think everybody kind of realizes after the Infinity War, they need to be sort of smaller. They're
going to do smaller stories, but he's still going to keep the interconnected universe.
Yeah,
he has to.
Sure, but it's not.
But now he can expand it, especially with the Eternals. I mean, like, holy shit! Like, you get to play in the cosmic universe in a bigger way, literally.
Well, that's the thing. If they introduce the Eternals, you know that it's leading to Galactus. He's going to be somehow introduced as one of these beings that were created from that go back to like the celestial times, and he's going to be like this overarching threat. Maybe that'll be eventually down the road in the next 10 years what'll be coming once they have the Fantastic Four set up and everything.
If they lead into Galactus, that gives us the footway all the way to the Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's fine. That can give us the next 6 years of movies, as long as they're built well. But we don't have to have, say, we got the Eternals movie, and then maybe near the end of it, they create Galactus. But they,
I don't even know that they. I think it needs to be like what they did with Thanos and just name drop, or do something small, like give a little bit of a hint that doesn't say Galactus, but maybe there's one that went rogue or one that's off there just devouring planets.
Oh, you mean
throwaway line?
You mean like Adam Warlock?
Well, see, that's
who was teased so long
okay,
ago.
So he, that's what I love. So the next as Guardians of the Galaxy movie that's going to be coming out, which is freaking going to be awesome. I love the fact that Guardians 3 is going to include Thor, and that the story plot, or from what we've gathered, the story plot of that is they're going to be trying to find Gamora, but then also at the end of Guardians 2, they tease Adam Warlock coming. So having a guy like Thor, who his storyline is that he's not sort of the Asgardian god that everybody saw him as. He's just trying to find his place, but he's like super powered, right? He's like the only person that at this point the Guardians can't go toe to toe with Adam Warlock, but having a guy like Thor in the crew at this point, he's going to be the perfect foil because
Well, it depends, but it also depends on what kind of Adam Warlock they do.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you know, he's going to come out, and the story is probably going to be, well, everybody knows he's Adam Warlock, the good version, and then he's also what Magus, as the evil version of himself. It wouldn't surprise me if once he's created, he comes out and he's sort of just like the bad version of himself. They don't really call him by that other name, but he's the bad version going after the Guardians because that's what they told him to do. But then you got basically Thor there, who's seen this whole this character play out with his brother Loki, right? So he's like the perfect person to see, look, there's this guy coming after you. He's bad, but he's not really bad. And he could basically set him straight. So by the end of the movie, he's realizing that, you know, there's more to it than what other people are telling him. And then maybe he becomes the Adam Warlock that we love. Thor is really good because then all of a sudden it's like getting him back on track to being Thor or a new version of Thor. And then he goes off and does his own Thor movie, going back to feeling more confident. Because even at the end of this, he's at that stage in the character of himself that he's just fought Thanos, but he's still kind of, at least the way they set him up, having serious issues with self-confidence. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't feel like he's worthy enough to rule Asgard, even though he's the rightful king. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to kind of go off and find himself. So I think setting him on the path with the Guardians and going up against a guy like Adam Warlock or another powerful being, because he's one of those characters out there. Carol Danvers is the only one that really at this point can do damage to him, with Thanos being gone, right? I mean, there's probably the Celestials or whatever, but I don't know. At this point, there's not very many people that. I guess that's a lie, because in Thor Ragnarok, he was being taken down by just a little thing on his neck, right? He's like a super powerful god, but then technology can still get the better of him.
If you attack somebody's central nervous system, they kind of go down regardless, you know.
Yeah, but you know, he has the power to summon electricity, and you would think that would have fried the thing on his neck when he was fighting when he punched Hulk, but no, I guess that doesn't work.
I mean, we've seen Thor can be knocked out by just whatever they shot him in the butt with in Thor 1. Yeah,
that's true.
He can be knocked out. He can still get drunk as hell and pass out. So, I mean, even at full power with Stormbreaker. So, I mean, to a degree, he's still mortal. So he can still be affected by things, even with his powers. And it's just if you catch him the right way, you punch him hard enough, you can knock him out. Thanos proved that when he had 2 hammers.
Well, that's the thing too, is like they do basically allude to, like, Asgardians think they're gods, but they're not gods. They're just a
race of beings that
Odin was a god.
Yeah.
Now, if they ever give Thor enough power that he actually absorbs the Odin force, like he should have, then that would be something. But they're making him so powerful that he doesn't need the Odin force. I'm like, no, we need to bring that back.
I don't think on either. I think Odin. I think that's just kind of I think it was pushing the story forward, but he's not necessarily gone for good.
Yeah.
No, well, I think that if they're going to do anything along those lines, there needs to be some heavy flashbacks to where Odin's power came from in the first place. If we're going there, where the Odin force came from, and that sad fucking story that exists.
Well, we're sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. everybody loves Thor. Like he's on a high, right? So
Yeah.
he's got the next Thor movie coming out, hopefully. And then after that, maybe one more. But then after that, his contract has already been up after this. So
I thought it was already up,
this is
actually.
yeah.
Guess he
So
signed up
it's
for
just
another 3.
like bonus for him. But Chris Evans was done. Robert Downey Jr. is done to some extent. We don't know if he's going to come back in any capacity, but we got to assume that he's out, right? So
Even
Thor
if he comes back
eventually
in
will
as a
be
voiceover.
gone.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, everybody knows that Captain America has a replacement, either with Sam Wilson or Bucky. Iron Man is just an iron suit, so it could be anyone, just him doing the voice. So they have a backup, and then there's War Machine, right? So War Machine is essentially the Iron Man, and then anybody that has tech now could be Iron Man.
And
So
Spider-Man's
he has a
basically
backup.
the new Iron Man.
And then you got Thor, who doesn't necessarily have his replacement, like Chris Hemsworth doesn't have his replacement. So it would be great to see Beta Ray Bill. I think if they can introduce Beta Ray Bill to eventually
gives
take
him
over the
Stormbreaker.
mantle of Thor, yeah, and get Stormbreaker
But
or a new version of.
That's what I think the Guardians thing was really going for. I think that's why I think that the end of either the next Guardians movie or the next Thor movie is going to be him in space, and it's going to be Beta Ray Bill. It's going to be I'm sure he's going to encounter him and find out that there's a species out there that's worthy. And
Well,
I would love that.
does Stormbreaker even have the worthiness spell?
I don't think so.
I don't think he does.
I don't does.
But nobody
think
else
he does.
wields him.
Yeah, but I mean Groot can pick him up.
Well, Groot picked it
Again,
up
that's the whole
incomplete.
Vision thing. Like, does that technically count?
Speaking of that, I was having a thought with the whole Adam Warlock thing. They can't give him the stone in his head
Nope.
because they don't exist anymore, which I think
Nope.
was a mistake to wipe out the stones entirely, unless we have the weird through piece of Loki still having one somehow, because I think that might also be a major effect we haven't seen the ripples of yet. That oops, Loki has an entirely loose timeline flying out there.
Yeah, but again, the way they've crafted the MCU, there's a lot of stuff that they've changed with characters and folded things in and given other qualities from other characters, like Ant-Man. Ant-Man's sort of an amalgamation of all of the Ant-Man, but really is based off of Scott Lang, but he has qualities of irredeemable Ant-Man in there, and he's got qualities of Hank Pym. Even though Hank Pym's around, he still has certain qualities. So they've sort of combined that. It wouldn't surprise me if Adam Warlock, even though he doesn't have the Soul Stone, if he has some sort of tie to the Soul Realm or some power set that all of a sudden we're not aware of because of technology. They could just say it's some sort of technology, and all of a sudden he can tap into that sort of universe or realm or whatever. Or I don't know.
And also there has to be some sort of interdimensional technology, because an interdimensional being is what they fight on on the Sovereign's planet. They fight.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's definitely, but also too, when you get to with Marvel's space cosmic canon, there's so much incredible power out there that you don't have to, like, everybody says Galactus, but it doesn't have to be Galactus. It could be Eternity, it could be Infinity, it could be, there's so many different like abstract beings.
I think they wouldn't bring in anybody that big because they're literally too powerful for the MCU. That's like bringing in the one above all in Spider-Man. Be like, oh yeah, by the way, this is actually God.
Well,
don't bother.
But what I'm saying though is that there's so much out there to explain something being powerful, like that would still harken back to comics.
Yeah.
That's why it needs to be like the stones being gone, okay, because it could be something else. Not to mention Mordo talking about things imbued with, like him having
energy.
the staff of the Living Tribunal and stuff like that, which, I think there is like you said, you know, there could be more out there that is magic, just magic.
Yeah,
Because,
that's the easy way to explain it away. Well,
you know,
I think that if we could see some of the cosmic beings from the comics that Thanos actually got during Infinity Quest, or that he dealt with while he was actually getting the stones that he didn't deal with in the MCU, that would be great, honestly. Because say these entities or whatever you want to call them interacted with the
Yeah.
soul stone or the stones at some point and did get imbued with their power, like the runner and things like that we did not get to see. I mean, they gave us quote unquote the garden, but without the reason of it existing. For most people don't even know that story, but you know, why not give us some of those characters down the line? Then they don't have to necessarily be or maybe at some point they did have the stones because they've been floating around the universe for a long time. You know, they just happened
well,
to
that's
end up
why
on Earth.
I think that you've already brought in the Celestial. The Celestials aren't just. It's not like having Ego as a Celestial. It's like okay, but the Celestials themselves, they're a threat simply because they don't see the rest of life in the galaxy as worth their time.
Yeah, we're bugs to them. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be something. It doesn't have to be like the big bad evil, you know, mustache twirling villain. It could literally be like
in a big and different, overly powered thing.
Yeah, there's just something bigger, and it doesn't even have to be directly like we're going to fight this thing because they're doing this thing. It could be that you know, there's several different ways they could go. They could, you know, not to mention the Skrulls and the Kree. Those are that's still something that's farmable.
I think that's going to be all Captain Marvel too. I think we're going to get like that 5-year gap movie.
Yeah.
I think her movies are going to all be flashbacks for a while.
Well, I think I don't know. Before the whole James Gunn situation
20-year
happened,
gap. My bad.
They had mentioned that James Gunn was sort of going into this next phase, or for lack of a better term, he was going to be taking care of the whole expanding the universe, because everything we've been seeing has sort of been in a pocket universe just based around Earth, mainly in a couple of universes, but it was all directly related to Earth. And like you were saying, Paul, I think expanding it to the galaxy as a whole, there are other threats out there that are more powerful than the combined force of the Infinity Gauntlet, right? So,
yeah, the only people who would stand against it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, because even in the Guardians movie, it talks about how the Celestials were the ones that could actually wield and control it, you know. And then you got like Thanos, who's probably one of the only people who was able to collect all of them and use them all at the same time. But like you were saying, other people have probably been using the stones for, you know, eons or whatever. So there are probably different remnants or ways that they've learned to harness the power in different versions that we haven't seen yet. And the fact that they're expanding that galaxy feel, and even with Captain Marvel, because she goes off planet, it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of her sequel movies will not even be related on Earth. I mean, I think a lot of people tend to try to they think that people only go see these movies because you need a connection back to Earth, but
no,
I think they've proven that you don't need that at this point.
Well, she's the connective tissue that, you know, you've got this quote unquote human out there, but it's right. I mean, like you said, these things have been out in the universe forever, and people have used them. So there's people out there who are likely immortal to some degree. They have massive powers, or they're influencing planets, or they've done something prior to what we've known the Infinity Stones done. I mean, they have a giant universe of Marvel stuff to play with. And getting away from Earth for a while is probably a good idea. You know, we've done enough. We've done enough there.
Yeah, but
well,
you can't get away from it.
Like the Galactic Guardian stuff, like keep it in that level.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to come back every 5 minutes.
Exactly. Like leave it out in the cosmos. They're doing their thing, but then on Earth, then have your grounded Spider-Man.
Well, that's again
Spider-Man, Ant-Man, yeah.
I think that's
Doctor Strange.
Bring it back. We still don't have a Mandarin. They still say that there's a Mandarin.
A real Mandarin, yeah.
real Mandarin. So there's that. I mean, it would be even great to have the Red Skull come back. Have Red Skull come back to Earth.
Oh, speaking of him, you know how many people want to see Cap return the Soul Stone back
to
the place where it came in?
But how do you? Okay, this is all. Okay, we're gonna have to wrap this up. It's been going for quite some time. We've been on just end game for like an hour and a half. But how do you return the Soul Stone? Like everything else is literally you put it back in the vault or the thing that it was in. How the hell do you return the Soul Stone? Somebody had to die to get that. Be like literally walk up with it. Go, hey, you can.
It's by magic, right? So.
Yeah, it's cosmic. But assuming it comes from the Soul Realm, so
Yeah.
I guess you walk back up that. Well, how does he even know where the hell to take it on Vormir? Like, is that the only thing on the entire planet?
Mountain that has the bright light behind it. Yeah.
Just look for it. I guess Barton would have told him.
Maybe he just dropped it off, and maybe that's a whole other.
He just lets it, boop. You know, but well, here's the problem: is he dropped it off back in 2017? Yeah, is that when he dropped it off?
2014.
2014. I thought it's there's a weird discrepancies in the years there.
Okay.
But yeah, either way, they dropped it off in the past. All the stones were dropped off in the past where they picked them up from. So in theory, the Soul Stone that Gamora got was also the same stone that Cap dropped off.
Yep.
So that means that because they went there before the Guardians went there, before Thanos went there. So they went years. They went years ahead. They went for when Guardians 1 happened.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, was Guardians in 2017 or 2014? Either way, that's the year it's supposed to happen. Yeah,
It was
2014.
Yeah, so Thanos picked it up in like 2017. Either way, it doesn't matter. So he picked it up years before Gamora went there with Thanos. So in theory, that Soul Stone was like the same one. They just had to earn it again in theory. But that's kind of the problem with this version of time travel. It becomes really messy when you have to put that back. But apparently everything realigns itself, especially after you put the stones back. Everything realigns back to how it's supposed to be. But it's perfectly fine if all of them are just gone.
No, but the thing is, it's Cap put back the stones that he had, but it's still technically not okay because Loki's running around with the space stone.
Loki has that space stone. Yeah, so reality,
that one that they effed up that they still haven't gone back to fix.
That's the one of the loose timelines out there. And then we have past Gamora running around in the future, which is slightly confusing.
But see that
she can exist outside of her timeline.
She can now because it's no longer.
It's the same rules, the
future becomes the past whatever.
Yeah.
So it's really alternate dimensions. So alternate timelines or whatever you want to call it.
Even though they came forward, which also that's the first time really that, well, like anytime they stole something from the past, it didn't affect the past. They proved that. So even stealing thousands of people from the past didn't have an effect on the past. So that's why we know that
have effect on their past has an effect on that
some alternate timeline.
You know?
Yeah. So
right.
So there's a really nice timeline where Thanos and all his people disappeared and the universe is fine and the snap never happened.
No, well, did you read that article about how with that timeline where Thanos isn't around?
Yeah.
Then that's the timeline where Ego, the living planet, actually takes over everything.
Oh, that
because
makes sense.
He's not technically dead because Peter Quill never.
That's true. Yeah.
Gets the Guardians together to defeat him or whatever. So.
Well, in that case. Let's see, hold on. So that version was post. The version of them that came to the future was post Avengers 1 now. They had already done the Jatari attack on Earth.
It was right. That version was right before Peter Quill gets the Power Stone because Rhodey and everybody were stealing the Power Stone right when he was there.
So he never got the Power Stone.
Prior to Guardians 1, that's where Thanos and everybody are now gone. So,
but
all of that stuff where Peter Quill meets his friends. He never gets he never gets to meet Rocket and Groot and everybody and Drax, and Gamora's not around to like help out with that whole.
He also, but hold on, he never necessarily meets Ego either.
Yeah, because he'd have no reason to.
Well,
because
he will eventually meet them because if he's hanging out with Yondu still, like let's say he's still part of the Ravagers and Yondu's still around. Yondu,
yeah.
he will eventually get caught up with Ego because Ego's looking for Yondu because of he was supposed to bring Peter Quill to him, and
He
knows
could
that he
still
doesn't
get
do
Quill, but would have no friends to save him
Mhm.
from
Right.
Ego.
So
Actually,
he will
yeah.
become Ego's battery, and then Ego will eventually take over.
Actually, yeah,
So
no,
that
that
was-
actually totally makes sense because he doesn't have anyone to back him up. But there's also nobody to empower or defeat Ronan. That
Right,
Ronan.
exactly.
So the Kree, that version of the Kree Empire probably still, except he's not after the Power Stone because it's gone. Well, it was put back, but you know,
It's put back, but yeah.
But yeah, no, that's
Yeah, but
no, that's an interesting
Thanos is-
idea.
Because, well,
Thanos
the
is
thing
fun.
is,
maybe he takes over. Maybe he goes and lays waste to the Nova Corps too.
But if he doesn't have the power of the Power Stone to beat the Nova Corps, he wouldn't have. 'Cause
Yeah,
they're-
but
they were holding
Corps
him back
back it,
without him using the Power Stone. They were actually doing a significant job of holding him back.
but with that timeline, see, to me, like that timeline where Thanos is gone,
It's
Does
not
that-
a permanent.
does that get
timeline.
erased as soon
It
as-
does get.
as soon as
That one gets
the-
erased because the stone gets put back. Everything that happens post stone.
right, because then
fixes.
the stone gets put back. Not Gamora, Nebula never has that freak out moment where
Yeah.
he learns that
There's
there's
no-
two versions. So
there's
he
never
never
two
knows.
Nebulas.
So everything just
Yeah.
yeah.
No, yeah. Everything gets
know.
undone just by the time travel. The time travel in and of itself
Yeah.
keeps it from happening. But now that we know the multiverses are possible due to time travel and things like that, in theory, there was one that still went that way. If the multiverse is a real thing, it still technically went that way, but it was self-correcting once the stone went back. So it's
That's
possible
where I don't know. That's where I feel like there's multiple different universes happening because I think old Cap that shows up at the end of the movie is not the original Steve Rogers.
We're not getting into
Captain
that.
America.
We're not getting
I
into
think-
that because the Russos screwed that up along with the screenwriter. So
Well,
Marcus
I
and
feel like-
McFeely said one thing and the Russos said another, and they've contradicted each other. So we honestly don't know which way that'll go because one way makes sense, the other way doesn't make sense. One way actually
Unless
follows
there's a-
real science, one way follows universe, and you're like, wait, that doesn't make sense after what happened in the movie.
And that's where I think if let's just say that version of Steve Rogers lived his life in the proper MCU timeline, he's an alternate version of Steve Rogers from another dimension, timeline or whatever. He's not the Steve Rogers that goes back in time.
But he
Because
can't be.
the
He
only
can't be either though, because then that means that the MCU timeline has always been screwed up. That's
Or there's been a
the-
version of
well, the idea of him going back in time. We're only touch on this, and then we're gonna have to call it quits because it's 11:30. Assuming, let's just go with the original idea that it is our Cap. He went back in time and he stayed there, and he didn't fuck with anything the whole time he was there. Like he just had his Peggy. He stayed quiet. He didn't change anything despite knowing all events. Nothing. Probably never even gave her a heads up on a lot of the other bullshit. Like, oh, by the way. But that would also mean that here's the problem with that is that when Steve visited her in The Winter Soldier, and she talks about her husband and her kids, he wasn't around anymore. She didn't talk about her husband in the past tense, like he was gone. So did Cap only stick around for so long and then go back to the future? Like, instead of just living it out the whole time, including avoiding that battle or even the snap or anything like that. Which,
man, I still think it's an alternate timeline. That doesn't make sense to me.
well, that's what I'm saying.
mean-
This is the problem. Like, if they say it is the Cap, it's the Cap that left is the one who stayed. If they say that he lived out an entire timeline in a branched timeline and then used the quantum tech to jump back to the main timeline, that makes more sense. Even scientifically, with our idea of how quantum physics works and all that, that makes a lot of sense. Because he could literally just, boop, he just comes right back to his starting point, even though he's lived for 70 years elsewhere. And
I think that's what he did. I don't
But-
think it's
But then, yeah, no, I agree, but that's what it should be. But then when the screenwriters say no, it was, or I forgot who said which. It doesn't matter. One says no, that's our Cap. He lived here the whole time, and then the other one said no, it was a Cap who lived in an alternate timeline and then came back. It is like only one of those makes sense, but it would also depend on how long. But they also said that in this universe, Cap has children with Peggy. That's the problem. They contradict themselves. That Peggy's children are Cap's children. That's what they've said. That she did marry him. He was the husband who had the kids with her and all that stuff. So they said we're all assuming branch timeline, which makes the most amount of sense. But then they're saying no, actually it was Cap here doing the thing. Now, the only way I see that makes sense is if that happened and then he returned the stone. Like he did a whole lot of shit and then took the stone back, not dropped the stone off and stayed there. Because the last, it just depends on the like, say he held onto a single stone just to make sure that he got that alternate timeline for a while. Maybe, I don't know. There's no good explanation for it because they contradicted their own timeline rules.
Yeah, you got to think that they had to have thought that through. I can't imagine that at some point they were like, this is going to be a lot of issues. We'll just deal with it later. Maybe that was the mentality of it seems good. We want to give him his happy ending. And then when people start asking questions about it, that'll be the next director's job. That'll be Kevin Feige's issue to deal with that sort of stuff.
Well,
or whoever.
It's almost going back to the Thor problem. Like, hey, we could have sped this along real quick if you actually used that power that Thor had. And I'm just like, it's just like, oh yeah, about that. And then they're like, hey, which Cap is this? Is this our Cap? It had to be because he knew when and where to go. But then the Hulk said he overshot his time zone or whatever. So that means he did return somewhere, but he said he overshot it. So, but they're also saying there's no way he returned to the platform and then walked over there without anybody noticing. So that's why they say he lived it out and then he sauntered up whenever he was there because he knew time.
Okay, let's make the assumption that he shows up at some point when the platform is active. So maybe he shows up right before it blows up, before before Nebula brings.
Oh, you're thinking it was the original platform he came back on, not the small one?
Not the small one, or it could be any platform, right? Or any quantum tunnel that he has the ability, because he has the thing. He just needs.
Well, no, the thing is that they have to, and you see this through the whole movie. They made sure you leave in this tunnel, you come back in this tunnel. You don't just pop up somewhere else. So that's also the problem, that he never came through that tunnel because literally it was a minute later and they looked over and there's somebody sitting there. But nobody came through that tunnel. So, and obviously they set it up. They did all the things in the movie. They're like, okay, we're going to do this. Cap's going to go back. And he should have come back 10 seconds later? And then he wasn't there.
That makes sense because it's pulling the tracking. I mean, the whole thing.
Yeah, that's why the GPS works. Tracker. He's leaving. And it also, quantum physics, the only way that works is to go from the exact point you left to the exact point you can only go back to the same place. Not exactly the same time, but the same place. So where your tunnel is where the only place you can go as an entrance and an exit. So you can go back as far as you want, but you can only return to that one spot. That's your entrance and exit hole. So that's where the idea that he waited it out makes more sense, because he did not return to that platform. So no, it's dumb. It's really dumb. It's always going to be a point of contention.
I think it's good. I think it was there. I think that whoever said that, no, he was always there. I think that's what it was supposed to be.
It was supposed to be, and they should not have said the other thing.
Holes in it. They were like, well,
yeah,
no. It's like.
Yeah, so do you think that it's one of those scenarios, like when Bruce Banner and the Ancient One are talking, right? And she does she throws a line out there, and she shows where when the stone gets removed, it splinters off, but then when it comes back, it heals itself. Do you think it's one of those scenarios where, like you were saying, he holds on to the stone, does his stuff, gives it back, and then it heals itself, but since he's still in that timeline, things change just based on him being there? So
No,
him
because
being there becomes the new timeline?
no,
and
because
not
he
like
still has to
what we've
stay
had
in
in the
that
past?
timeline. He still has to.
But what I'm
because-
saying is the events of Civil War where Peggy has kids with a different guy, let's just say, that's all in the past. So then his future becomes everybody else's past.
I think
The new everybody else's past.
due to the way the movie explained it, combined with the way that the quantum physics should work, and they actually really did kind of nail this. According to a lot of scientists, they really did actually kind of nail down time travel that way. The removing the stones, breaking the timeline, it has to be returned, or that timeline starts falling apart, because the stones have to exist for time in the universe to exist. So for even one to be removed from that particular timeline, that time zone, whatever you want to call it, from there on, whatever that universe is experiencing from the moment it's removed, it is literally dying. It is falling apart. It is in chaos. Things are happening that aren't supposed to happen. I don't think Cap's going to live in that universe. But
well, that's what I'm saying.
he could live, but just with their rules of their own time travel, him being there, just regardless of stone or otherwise, just ignore the stones as anything. So assume that he did the original idea. He returned all the stones. His final jump was to return the one stone in the 40s. Which one did they grab from the 40s? And they didn't. They grabbed because
Space Stone and they
didn't grab
grabbed Space Stone.
they didn't grab anything from the 40s. He jumped back to the 40s after he was done in the 70s. Yeah, that's right.
Back to the 70s.
Yeah.
So
you're right. The 70s.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after he returned the stuff to the 70s, he still had more jumping ability. So he jumped back to the 40s apparently, like after he was in the ice. So obviously he didn't want to cross his own timeline, technically speaking. So maybe he only stayed there long enough until he was awakened in the ice, and then he jumped back to the future. But either way, the idea is that if he stayed there, he automatically creates a brand new timeline because he's now altered the timeline. So anything you do in the past creates a brand new alternate timeline. But as soon as you leave that timeline, you can only go back to your original one. The only way to experience that timeline is to stay there. So if he went to the past, lived his whole life with Peggy, that had to be, even by their own rules, had to be a branch timeline. And then he would have had to jump back to the main one, period, to be there. So that's the hard part. If he stayed there, it would already be a branch timeline, but we know it's not. That's the hard part. That's where they tripped over their own time travel. And so regardless of what they said, they screwed up.
If he had appeared on the platform, it would have been all fixed.
If he appeared on the platform as old Steve, it would have been fine. Appearing on, but actually no, it still wouldn't be fine, because then we still have the idea that they said he married Peggy in this universe. That's where, if they had never said anything along that lines and just left it to us, they'd never actually spoken up about it at all, they wouldn't have this problem, because everybody would have been fine. Branched universe, he did everything he did in an alternate timeline, he jumped back here so that he could be here.
Well, let's just say, do you think maybe, like...
I think we need to not listen to them, because I think they just made up bullshit. Or said things.
I think they didn't know what to say.
Honestly, I think they said after the fact to make themselves sound like, look what we did. And then people went, wait a second, bullshit, because you already, like, they didn't think about their own set.
Yeah, but they also said that they did kind of give themselves an out slightly in the movie by saying, yeah, time travel doesn't really work the way you think it does. So even within their own rules, they're like, maybe. But then, let's
all assume that there's a deleted scene that they're going to have to go back and do a reshoot, right? So there's a deleted scene where Banner, Cap, and Bucky and Falcon are all at the compound walking up to the platform where they're talking over there before they get to the compound. And then a rat jumps up on the compound, activates it. Old Steve shows up.
Now, here's a question.
Sits down, and then they all end up walking up to the platform to send Cap back in time.
I was just thinking,
Problem solved.
I was just thinking that maybe he jumped back to the van. Like, maybe the van, like, he had another quantum tunnel, but then I forgot the van got destroyed, so that doesn't matter.
Because
So-
I mean, there could have been a scenario where the platform is already built and active. They're just not standing by it.
Now,
They're,
you know how
they're off.
do you know how they screwed this up? They had him stay in the past instead of bring Peggy to the future.
Hmm.
You know what? That is how they screwed this
Because
up.
they wanted to end on that scene where they
They're
show,
dancing together in the house, but they could have
dancing
done the
together.
same damn thing in 2023
That's true.
because, or whatever you're supposed to be.
Yeah,
No,
but then her timeline is splintered because
it
she's
wouldn't
not there
matter.
in the
It doesn't
past.
matter because remember, it doesn't matter if you take anything from that timeline. It doesn't affect yours. So all he had to do was we just solved Endgame. All he had to do was take Peggy from the past and bring her to the future, just like they did with Gamora. We've got a perfectly good Gamora running around that did not affect the past in any way, shape, or form. Same thing with Thanos and his entire army getting wiped out. So all they should have said was, no, he brought Peggy. Oh, wow. Hold on. This would have been a whole different idea. If he brought Peggy to the future, lived out 70 years into his own future, and then jumped back to the past to sit on that thing. So he went 70 years ahead after living out 70 years with Peggy, and then jumped back to be there. That actually would make way more sense than spending time in the past. Because he could do that. Because from there on out, we're now on a new timeline.
Well, it would make sense with he blew past.
Yeah.
What did Bruce Banner say?
Yeah, he said he missed his time window or whatever he said, blew past his destination or whatever. But I think that might have been because I think they could monitor where he was with the GPS. I think what he meant is that he overshot going backwards, and that's where he ended up in the 40s. And then I think that's what he meant, like not overshot coming back or something. I think that's a problem. They did not write that scene properly, but does it make more sense?
Yeah.
Like, does it make more sense that if they had brought Peggy to the future to live out instead?
I don't know.
I think that
there's a
would
bunch
have made, and it would have left more out for future Captain America things, or possibly a future Peg thing. You know,
Judd, all we hear is you doing whatever you're doing.
The scene at the end where they're dancing is definitely back in the 40s.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem. That is the problem.
They set up, and it was for, and I understand why they did it, but there's several other things. Like, you literally wrote a more viable.
Yeah, what I just said made way more sense than what they did within their own rules.
That could just be
Within
like he
their-
goes back,
within their-
convinces Peggy to go to the future. In that scene, he dances with her and says, "Hey, I need to take you somewhere." And then after that scene,
oh wait, she didn't have a quantum. Well, actually, you don't need a quantum suit to. They prove that you don't need a quantum suit. You just have to be with somebody who does.
no, you just need to be quantum sized because.
Yeah, you just
my question after seeing Endgame for the first time, I was like, well, how did Nebula bring Thanos?
Like, they shrunk the ship, yeah. Everybody was in the ship.
How did they shrink the ship? Because she only had enough Pym particles to bring herself back to the future, not herself and the ship. Because even if they had the technology to shrink the ship, I'm like, and then I was just like, I'll just chalk it up to science.
Well, we just assumed that advanced alien technology should be able to figure that shit out. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
It's not another Earth scientist, because Tony figured it out after being exposed to it for approximately 6 minutes. You know, he figured it completely out. So Thanos,
like the Pym particles, though, it's like they make it seem like, oh, it's so hard to manufacture on Earth, but maybe they have like a synthesizer in space that they just put the vial in, and then it just recreates it as many as they need.
Well, look at it this
they can
way:
bring their whole damn army.
Yeah, well, you got to think that Hank can create it however much he needs. Literally, they just makes them. So obviously, they can be manufactured, or however the hell he gets Pym particles. So, given enough time to analyze the technology, which they had, you know, because he didn't necessarily bring Thanos 10 minutes after Nebula left. You know, that could have been God knows how long. And they just replicate the quantum GPS. They replicate the Pym particles. They have that power, realistically. They're way more advanced than we are. So Tony could have done it. Let's just be honest here. Tony more than likely replicated the Pym particles on his own. Because they would have had to at some point, because they only had so much to get around. So at some point, they would have had the time to recreate Pym particles. Because it's not like Hank's designs are gone. They're still in San Francisco. you know.
Yeah.
And if dipshit from the original Ant-Man movie could figure it out, Tony Stark could sure as hell figure it out. Which means Thanos sure as hell could figure it out. But the idea that Cap could bring Peggy back, that is the one loophole. How do you bring her back without her dying going through the quantum realm? Because you have to be in some kind of container.
Mm-hmm.
So he shrinks her into a container, brings her back. Oh, this is gonna be weird. You know.
Well, I don't know. That's not necessarily true because
we're way too far nerdy.
Clint Barton brings back the softball.
He brings back an inanimate. He brings back an inanimate object. But they don't grab like a cow or the dog or a kid. You know, how bad he would have loved to just grab his daughter right then, you know, and bring her back, but they didn't. And the fact they make a big deal out of being in some type of quantum suit, you know, Ant-Man has to be in the suit to be that small or he would die. He couldn't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going all the way to the quantum realm, there's not unless you're Michelle Pfeiffer, there's no oxygen down there to breathe, but the quantum realm has not been explored yet, so we still have all of that shit to deal with. I don't know. I just think that I think that bringing Peggy to the future was a more viable option than him staying in the past for the timeline mess up to be correct. But you know, it is. Oh, wait a minute! I know how he could have done it. The Ant-Man suit existed in the 70s. You just steal the original Ant-Man. Just steal the Ant-Man suit. Just give it to Peggy. Or the Wasp. Oh, what a Peggy. No, it wouldn't fit her in the chest, let's just be honest.
We're going level 7 nerd now.
Yeah. Well, I'm just being honest because Haley Atwell is incredibly well endowed.
Yes, she is.
Yes. Anyway, I think it's go time, guys. We've been doing this for way too long at this point. And good Lord, almost 4 hours. Why does this always happen when I do live streams? Always. But guys, I know this wasn't a normal like nerdcast, even though it kind of went there. Technically, is a Plastic Cannibals live, but actually, except for Paul, none of the original Plastic Cannibals are around, at least from the Council of Plastic Cannibals Council. But of course, thanks to everybody who joined in. Art, sucks that you couldn't get back on. He actually, his internet just flat out quit on him. He couldn't do it or to get back, so that sucks. Thomas Rice, thanks for coming and hanging out as long as you could. Sucks that you couldn't make it all the way through this discussion, but we barely did. And of course, Paul, Judd, Ernest, always fun talking with you boys.
Oh yeah.
We didn't get to Game of Thrones, but that's okay. That's another incredibly long discussion. All right, so guys,
that's longer than the season was.
Exactly. We would talk about it longer than that. But guys, we will catch you probably whenever this happens again. We're trying to get back to doing it again on Sundays, whether it'll be on my channel. Oh, excuse me, that beer's coming back on me. Either here on my channel or on Unboxing Heart's channel. We'll see what happens. If you've never heard of Plastic Cannibals, it is a group on Facebook. If you are a collector or a nerd, regardless of what it is, we take all comers as long as you are fine playing in the community. If you have a good attitude about, you know, taking care of other nerds and stuff like that, everybody's welcome. Josh Fisher is actually in there too. He's all over the place. A few other guys. So by all means, when we do this again, come hang out. Maybe get some more topics later on. But we haven't done this in months, and there was too much to talk about. So, but from everybody here at Plastic Cannibals, y'all have a good night and have a great beginning of your week. Some of you are already in Monday. We're not quite there yet, at least me. Paul's got a while.
I got a while.
You got a little while. It'll be Monday for you soon enough. I gotta go to bed.
I'm 49 minutes into Monday.
Oh, you're on that end. You're on that end of the country.
I am.
I don't know why I didn't know where you were. Either way,
You've mailed me.
That's what I'm saying. You think I pay attention? You know how many nerds I have to ship stuff to? Speaking of which, I have to ship out boxes tomorrow. Bye, guys. Of course, remember as always
later.
to keep on nerding. As Paul drops his phone.